Goes back to the Pittsburgh game. That looked a hell of a lot different from the Arizona matchup, and I made the point yesterday. I don't think it was just because Joel Hofer was not in net. It was Jordan Binnington, as we discussed on Friday. Hofer actually played pretty well. But when you watch that Pittsburgh game, what were a lot of the differences between that Blues team and the one that we saw Thursday night when they lost to the Coyotes?
Yeah, a couple things stand out. First of all, Joel Hofer, it was not his fault against the Arizona Coyotes. There was just a lot of volume of good scoring chances that at one point the dam always breaks, and unfortunately it happened to Joel Hofer. But to get back to your question about the Pittsburgh game, the Blues were on their toes.
Yeah.
Like right from the get-go, it was almost like there was a sense of fear. And I don't mean like a physical fear, but you look across and you've got Sidney Crosby, you've got Evgeny Malkin, you've got Letang, you've got Karlsson. Like you've got some guys that if you put up another effort like you had against the Coyotes, like never mind 6, it could be 10 in the net on you. So the one thing that Craig Berube talked about following the Coyotes game was that the guys weren't connected. And you saw that against Pittsburgh. They were way more connected. The 6 to 7 foot passes were there. They were advancing the puck north up the ice. I mean, I don't even know how many odd man rushes that they ended up creating, but it looked like the Blues were playing faster than the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Brandon saw it. Like the chemistry there with Thomas and Kyrou clicked in. He had a fantastic game. Colton Parayko is an absolute moose right now out there. For all the people that doubted him and whatnot and criticized him and, there's 6.5 and they're going to hate that contract. I know we're just at the beginning of this season, but I think that contract is going to be a gem. By the time this is said and done, Colton Parayko's 6.5 will be, probably money that teams are paying for their 5th and 6th defensemen by the time that contract matures. And look what he's doing out there. He's keeping the game simple. The biggest thing that Colton Parayko has changed is in years past, or last year in particular, where he got himself in trouble was he hangs on to the puck sometimes too long, or he hesitates to make a play. And this year he's been assertive. And when the play isn't there, instead of trying to hold on to the puck longer and make the play, he's getting on his horse. He's become the one-man breakout again. And that's what I really like about his play. And it tells the story of how that game was against the Penguins. It just the amount of times that the Blues were up the ice and challenging the Penguins and creating offense, and Kasperi Kapanen, he looked like he was shot out of a cannon last game against the Penguins. On his toes, good on the forecheck, good on the penalty kill, made a fantastic inside-outside move to make the pass to Jake Neighbors for his first goal of the year. So that's the biggest thing for me was the Blues were able to play a fast game because they were more connected. And what's great about it is when the head coach goes over these things and he talks about it and then he has the video the next day and then you finally have the successes after. Like now you look at it as a head coach and go, that's what I'm talking about.
Right,
that's what I mean. You have a point of reference at that point.
Sure. That, Jamie, is why we talked about on Friday how sometimes you're because wins aren't created, all wins aren't created equal, all losses aren't created equal, and you have an opportunity where you get almost more coaching done after a loss. Now you don't want the losses to pile up to the point where you start to question not only the players, but your front office starts to question the coaching staff. But when you get losses like the one against Arizona early in the year, they wind up being an opportunity for Craig Berube and the coaching staff, to your point, to make the changes necessary. And we saw that right away. 2 nights later, they cleaned things up and they beat Pittsburgh. So now they're in Winnipeg, and a couple of storylines that are emerging. One, we'll get to it. We'll tell you who's in net. Jordan Binnington, first goalie off the ice at morning skate, indicating he's going to be back between the pipes tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. Outstanding this season. He has stopped 94 of 98 shots, 2-0-1 record thus far. Yeah, this guy's just been insane to start the season. He's been fantastic. The other news, Pavel Buchnevich could return tonight, Jamie, dealing with the upper body injury, as we know. He has a chance to be back in the Blues lineup, according to Matthew DeFranks of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Anything you're hearing on Pavel Buchnevich?
Well, Booch took full pregame skate today, and the pregame skate was set up a little differently. We didn't get to see any line rushes, and there was no power play that was worked on. So the usual tells that a player is going to be back in the lineup weren't there. But talking to Buch and, watching him and watching his interactions with the training staff and the coaching staff, Pavel says he's ready to go.
Good.
And so, Craig Berube calls it a game-time decision. And all that means is that Buch is going to get a little pregame nap today. He's going to wake up, see how he feels. He's going to get to the rink. He'll take warm-up. If everything feels exactly the same way as it felt this morning, I would imagine that he's in the lineup tonight for the Blues. So minimal amount of time off for Buch. And you get a big piece back into your lineup right here at the beginning of a really important road trip.
Yeah, so he's missed the last 2 games after suffering that upper body injury against Seattle. It looks like he's going to play tonight, which would be huge. The Blues off to that 2-win start thus far. Winnipeg is 2-3 on the year. I know at some point we're going to do Jamie's keys to victory ahead of when you got to leave the show. BT will fill in for the last 2 hours of today. But Jamie, how much we looked at this Winnipeg team before the season when we were looking at our Central Division preview. But how do these two teams match up? Not just for tonight, but as in the early part of the season. Are they comparable? What are the Blues' strengths? What are Winnipeg's weaknesses that the Blues could take advantage of? Give us a little preview ahead of tonight's game.
Yeah, these teams are fairly evenly matched. They're kind of in the same spot as an organization to where, they've lost some of their talent. Like Blake Wheeler no longer with the Winnipeg Jets, and the Pierre-Luc Dubois is moved on from the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously Tarasenko, O'Reilly have moved on, and they've backfilled with some other players. So they really mimic each other quite a bit, and their overall philosophy as a team is blue collar. So, tell me where you've heard that before, right? Like Craig Berube, that's what he built this hockey club off of, being able to outwork the opponent. That's what you've got. You've got two teams. Let's go back even. Let's go back to 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020. During those great years for the Blues, specifically the Stanley Cup run, Winnipeg was a willing opponent. They were a thorn in your side. They were very much like your team. It's the same thing today. Same thing. They've got Mark Scheifele, who just signed a 7-year contract extension, so he'll be a Jet for a long time. They've got Connor, who's one of their top scorers. They've got Morrissey on defense, who's had a bit of a breakout year. Not a bit, a lot of a breakout year last year. We'll see if he can continue to do the same. And they've got, Connor Hellebuck in the pipes. So they've got a very solid goaltender as well. There's a lot of similarities between these two teams. For me, it's about the first period tonight. Mm-hmm. Who can get to their game the quickest? And I know that's a broad statement, get to their game. Well, what does that mean? Well, we know what it means. We know what it looks like. We just saw the Blues play the Pittsburgh Penguins. If it looks like that, that's going to be a good thing for the St. Louis Blues. You got to make sure that you keep the Jets on their heels.
Yeah.
They like to push. They like to activate the defensemen. They like to play in the offensive zone. I mean, who doesn't, for that matter? But you got to make sure that they don't get the easy opportunities. You don't turn the puck over. I mean, that's going to be the theme all year long. With this hockey club here in St. Louis, not turning the puck over is going to be essential to their success.
That's Jamie Rivers. He's on the road. He's got the Blues Winnipeg game tonight for Bally Sports Midwest. Of course, we've got the game for you on 101 ESPN. So we'll have the pregame for you. We'll have, of course, the play-by-play. And then you can join Alex Ferrario and company for the postgame. 7:45, the puck will drop in Winnipeg for Blues and Jets. We had a wild Monday, a manic Monday, as some would say, Jamie. We'll dive into some of the biggest sports storylines from yesterday. The Rangers, the Marsh's Vikings last night, the Diamondbacks forcing a Game 7. So we're going to go kind of rapid-fire Manic Monday style next on 101 ESPN.
FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, where they've got everything, including NBA action. That's right. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed by our friends over at FanDuel. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel when they place a $5 bet on the NBA.
Yeah, that way you can watch, Jamie, all the action as you bet on everything from point spreads to player props. Best of all, you have paid your winnings instantly, so don't miss your chance to get $200 in bonus bets, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass just by visiting FanDuel.com/fast. Again, FanDuel.com/fast. You can tip off the NBA season right with you got 2 matchups tonight. In fact, you get the Lakers visiting the Nuggets. You got the Suns and Warriors. Those 2 matchups are highlighted primetime matchups tonight. So you're going to bet on them. You're going to watch them. You might as well take advantage of that $200 in bonus bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass by visiting FanDuel.com/fast. FanDuel, the official partner of the NBA.
21 and older, present in Illinois. New customer offer. First online real money wager only. Refund issues non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All customer offer. $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply.
Void where prohibited. See full terms for both offers at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
Garcia starts the third and drives one the other way. Down the line, if it's fair, he's got another! He does! Adolis Garcia owning October!
Purdy back to pass him when he needs to sack him. He loops it over the middle. Intercepted! Yes! The Vikings beat the Niners! And Cam Bynum has a 2-interception night. And now a fight unfurls on the field. And we're not over-exaggerating that. There were punches thrown. These sour-ass Niners can go ahead and get out of town.
Paul Allen on the call. Those sour-ass Niners can get out of town. Yeah, they could. Minnesota dominated that game last night. We'll get into them. And that was, again, K-fan Paul Allen. You also heard the call, Fox on the Adolis Garcia home run. Let's start off with the local angle first, Jamie. If you're the Cardinals and you're watching that and you let that kid slip out of your hands, you're ticked off. You better be. You better be ticked off. I know that it happens at times. The Dodgers traded the Astros Yordan Alvarez for a reliever. Okay, it does happen, but it's happened to you too many times now. Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena. You're watching this, and you're watching Garcia win the ALS MVP by driving in. What was it, Marsh? What was the stat? 15
ribbies in one series.
15 ribbies in 7 games. It's incredible. Obviously, you could do it when the lights are brightest. This kid's a superstar. You had him. If that doesn't tick you off, I don't know what will. And I know that this is this is a stoic organization, Jamie. I get it. They're realistic. They're understanding all this. Jamie, you have got to be furious at yourself if you're watching this kid do what he did last night.
Yeah, well, so would the Texas Rangers be, because they DFA'd him too, Anthony.
And they brought him back.
Got rid of him.
And they brought him back.
I understand that. Okay, it doesn't make them geniuses. I'll tell you that much. Maybe right now it does. But my point is, and I'm not defending Cardinals front office, but the reality of it is you made a trade, and then the team you traded him to DFA'd him because they didn't see the value in this player either. And the only reason that they brought him back was because he was already on the roster or something. I think there was I was looking at Jeff Passan tweeted something out.
Yeah.
And Derek Gould corrected him a little bit on it, or brought to light exactly how this went down. Yeah, it's bad. I don't compare this, though, to the Randy Arozarena situation, because Randy Arozarena had you traded him to the Rays, and then the Rays DFA'd him and then brought him back. Like, that's exactly what happened with Adolis Garcia. So yeah. The Cardinals weren't the only ones that at the time didn't see this rock star / superstar potential of this guy. But since that moment, he's turned into a superhero.
It's a fair point.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it is a fair point, Jamie. How I'm looking at it, though, is you had both guys within your organization, and you made decisions, not just to trade one and let go of another or whatever the Garcia situation was, but you chose Harrison Bader and Tyler O'Neill and whoever else in your outfield over these guys. So it was a fundamental decision to go with a lot of these other players that you have either traded or have gotten nothing out of. It's a double whammy, in my opinion. You had them within the organization, so you thought enough to sign them as international free agents. You had them, you had your eyes on them, and you decided to go a different route with your outfielders, one of which you traded for Jordan Montgomery, and the other in Tyler O'Neill. We'll see, but I don't think he's got much of a future left here in St. Louis. So, again, it's kind of a double whammy. But you're right. The Rangers also DFA'd him. So they didn't necessarily know what they had in him right away. It's not like the Rays who picked your pocket. So it's a fair point.
So I'll allow us to cry into our beers over Randy Arozarena.
But not Garcia.
But over Arozarena, because we made the trade. Mm-hmm. And, this situation here is, the Rangers got Garcia, but then they DFA'd him. So it's not like, oh my God, there was a superstar that you just had no idea you had.
Yeah.
I mean, the long story of it, the long version of the story is that you had this superstar that you didn't know you had, but so did the Rangers. Had somebody picked up Adolis Garcia when they DFA'd him, then they would look just as dumb as the Cardinals do for not having this guy.
Yeah, true. You're right.
The thing is, though, with the problem I have with this is that altogether, they had less than 50 plate appearances in this organization. Randy Arozarena, 23 plate appearances, at least in the regular season. He may have gotten one in the postseason in 2019, but Adolis Garcia, 17 plate appearances. So we always talk about, should we hold on to Dylan Carlson? Should we hold on to this player? Should we hold on to that player? That, to me, is the real topic here of, like you said, picking the wrong person. Yeah, the Rangers DFA'd him. He only had 7 plate appearances. That was in a COVID year. Mm-hmm. So this team, they have a problem with evaluating talent.
Yeah, certainly not acquiring it. I mean, if you think about it, they had Garcia. They had a Rosarina. They had Sandy Alcantara. They had Zach Gallen. Clearly, they can scout them.
What have those guys ever done?
A lot, Jamie.
They're not giving these players runway. That's the problem. They're not giving these guys any runway. They look at them and they're like, yeah, we're good. Mm-hmm. We're good. It's like,
or they're enticed, again, they're enticed by other players. They were enticed more by Harrison Bader. They were enticed more by Tyler O'Neill. They were enticed more by maybe a Dylan Carlson coming up the pipeline. Nonetheless, the Rangers got Adolis Garcia. They also have Bruce Bochy. Now, before I say what I'm going to say, people are going to be like, hey, aren't you the moron that says that managers don't matter?
Oh, Anthony.
You got one part right. I am a moron. But I've never said managers don't matter. What I've said is managers, compared to the other four sports in the regular season, we overrate their ability to win games on a night-to-night basis. We overrate their bullpen decisions and their lineup choices on a game-to-game basis. We put too much emphasis on it. They don't factor into the game over a course of 162 games as much as a coordinator would in football, as much as maybe a head coach even in basketball where you're calling certain plays at a given game. I think we overrate the manager from a game-to-game basis during the regular season. That is what I've always said. ... until the postseason. You have a much shorter sample size, and your manager has to pull the right strings at all times if you're going to win a World Series. Bullpen decisions, defensive replacements, matchups. That is when it matters because the sample size is much smaller. And the Rangers are going to win the World Series because they got Bruce Bochy. This guy is a magician. Yes, he's got Garcia. Yes, he's got Seager. Seager hit the big home run in the first inning to get the Rangers going. Yes, he's got, postseason Nate and Scherzer and Montgomery. He's got a good team. Bruce Bochy, though, pulls the right strings at all times. And if it's the Phillies, who are very talented, but now they're up against the ropes again, or the Diamondbacks, who are not as talented, but they're gritty, Bruce Bochy is going to give the Rangers the edge. That's my opinion on that.
Well, I think it was masterful the way he deployed his pitching last night. I sat here just like probably a lot of people and thought, man, is Max Scherzer the right guy to start this game? He didn't look like himself in Game 3, and I just don't know. Maybe they should go with the bullpen game. Then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, why not just make it a bullpen game anyways? But Max Scherzer is your guy that you're starting with. Mm-hmm. And you see how long the leash is. And I think that's what Bruce Bochy did, is let's see how far Max can get. Had Scherzer been able to go 4 or 5, I think the plan would have been identical to what it was last night. I think Monty was the next guy out of the bullpen, and then Chapman, and then work your way down the food chain. But Bochy had a plan for that.
Yes.
It doesn't hurt that he has the players, okay? Don't get me wrong. It doesn't
absolutely.
hurt that he has these guys on his roster. But I thought it was great. The moment he saw that that Scherzer wasn't shoving as much as the Astros were starting to see the ball just a little too good, he changed it up. And not only did he change it up from a righty to a lefty, which is part of it, but he went to Jordan Montgomery, who has been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like, what a friggin' luxury for Bochy to do that, to go from Scherzer to Montgomery, and then again Aroldis Chapman, and like I said, work your way down.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an excellent job of managing to start Scherzer that way and then kind of work your way from there.
It's masterful.
And knowing when the World Series starts is a good thing. Like, it starts on Friday, right? So you know that, okay, if we pitch Jordan Montgomery here, maybe he's not available for Game 1, but Nathan Eovaldi would be.
Right.
And then you can set your rotation, Eovaldi, Montgomery, Scherzer, or Scherzer in Game 2, Montgomery in Game 3.
Yeah.
Quick question for you guys. When does the World Series start? Because this will add to my thoughts on Bruce Bochy here in a second.
Friday.
Okay, so do you think Bruce Bochy had 2 separate game plans on this one? Like, had the series for the Phillies ended last night, would he have gone in a different direction with his pitching staff in order to line up the right guy for Game 1 of the World Series?
Probably not.
wouldn't have mattered. Right?
I don't think. Yeah, I think the way he would look at it, Marsh just kind of indicated the way he could set it up for Game 1 for himself. I think it was more about winning last night, less about the Phillies.
All right, because I was thinking in my head, I'm like, being the second game on the docket last night, I wonder if that changed any of his decisions, knowing that they now have to go to a Game 7, and then it starts on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would imagine that he was more looking at Game 7 in front of him as opposed to matching up with the Phillies. Because then if it's the Diamondbacks, I mean, you've got a different set of challenges.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He's managing in the moment to get to the World Series.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're right, Anthony. It was a stupid comment.
No, it wasn't stupid. Not one
I
bit,
can see
Jamie.
it in your face.
No, not one bit.
I'm
not
seeing
one
you
bit.
from a distance, but still.
We'll see what the Phillies do.
Disgust.
No disgust. We'll see what the Phillies do too, because I wouldn't count the Diamondbacks out at this point. I did early in the series. I thought they're going to get swept. This Diamondbacks team, there's something to them. So we'll see if they can pull off one more upset and get to the World Series, and then who knows? That's going to be interesting. Game 7 tonight between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks in the NLCS. We didn't get to Marsh's Vikings and an epic upset last night against the 49ers. We will in about 15 minutes or so. But let's talk about Colton Parayko. You had mentioned at the start of the show, Jamie, this has been a man-child thus far. What's different about Colton Parayko? Is there something different? He told us in the offseason, told JR, I heard you, fans. I'm going to put everything. This is going to be my best season, essentially. I'm paraphrasing. And thus far, he's off to a great start. We'll get into Colton Parayko's play next on 101 ESPN.
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet, the family has been in business for over 80 years, providing the best prices and award-winning services to all the community here in St. Louis. One thing that I tell people all the time is that buying a car from Johnny Londoff Chevrolet, it's more than just the price tag. We know they're going to have competitive prices. We know they're going to do a great job of it, but they want you to be treated like family. And that's the key. And I can talk about it because for over 20 years now, I've been a Johnny Londoff customer and friend. And it is about the experience. From the very first car that I purchased at Londoff Chevrolet to just a recent one that I purchased, the service has been the same. Nothing has changed, and this is why I go back time and time again. They take care of everything, including a vehicle that I needed to have safety and emissions, last-minute stuff. They took care of me. No problems, no questions asked. And the best part is they have 2 locations now. They got the original location in Florissant, Missouri, and the new Londoff Autoplex, which is very handy for people living on the west side. It's right in St. Peters, right off of Highway 70. Both of them have great inventory, exceptional customer service, and great service centers as well. So please get by either location. Please tell them that Jamie Rivers sent you in. But if you can't get there in person, get there online. Visit Londoff.com or LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Pregame for that one starts at 6:45. Puck drop is at 7:45. You can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Last night, the Diamondbacks defeated the Phillies 5-1 to force a game number 7, which will take place tonight. The winner taking on the Rangers in the World Series. The Rangers did punch their ticket against the Houston Astros last night with an 11-4 victory. Former Cardinal Adolis Garcia was named ALCS MVP. Also last night on Monday Night Football, the Vikings defeated the San Francisco 49ers 22-17. We'll get into more of that here in about 15 minutes, but coming up next, we're going to talk about how great Colton Parayko has been, and we'll see more of that tonight against the Jets. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Confidence for me is, I get it, but on the other side of it, like if you're not a confident player, you know, you're going through a tough time, you have to work your way out of it. That's how you get out of it. That's how you get confident, by your work ethic. And his work ethic's extremely high.
That is head coach Craig Berube talking about Colton Parayko. Yeah, his confidence right now is high because he's playing well. Jamie, he had sat down, Colton Parayko did, with our guy Jeremy Rutherford in the offseason and was very candid about some of the criticism that, and JR presented it. You know, it's not like Colton Parayko set out to talk about it, but JR kind of presented it to Colton Parayko about him kind of being a polarizing player for fans. And Colton Parayko, paraphrasing here, he said, yeah, I get it, but I'm putting in the work big time. And you could tell, like, this was going to be, there was some urgency to Colton Parayko's game coming into this year. And thus far, I know it's still early in the season, but this might wind up being his best season yet. So what's different about Colton thus far?
Well, for me, he's playing very direct hockey. And, you know, we talked early in the very first segment about hesitations. And if you look at Colton Parayko, you know, following that whole announcement of the alpha dog and all that stuff, it's almost like he wanted to become something different. That he expected something different from himself at that point. Try to make, you know, maybe do too much. Mm-hmm. And it bit him a little bit. Not always, but in short periods of time, it kind of bit him. But last year, with the overall team defense not being there, and Colton Parayko having an inconsistent season, you really kind of noticed it. And people, they turned on Colton Parayko. And I love the fact that they used a contract. To me, that is the worst argument you possibly have. Because 2 years from now, with Colton Parayko playing the way he is, that 6.5 is going to be a bargain. You're going to be thrilled that you have Colton Parayko locked in for 6.5. And all you have to do is look at this season so far. And again, I understand for all the critics or the naysayers that want to hate on Colton Parayko, it's very easy to say, well, it's just the beginning of the season. You know, it's a sample size. I get it. I get it. But if he was playing terrible right now, boy, you'd be on the train then, wouldn't you? He's terrible. That guy sucks. Okay, but you can't flip-flop the narrative then, okay?
Yeah.
So we'll use what we've seen so far this year, and I just see a very direct player. When the play is there, he's making the pass right away. And if the pass isn't available, he's using his legs. This is a guy that, I'm telling you, I firmly believe that if the Blues had a race from one end to the other, that Parayko and Kyrou would be right there. In fact, Parayko might be faster for the length of the ice than Jordan Kyrou is. And I know that's saying a lot, but we'll look at last game. Taking the puck from behind his net and just going. And all of a sudden he's at the red line before you know it. And you have no in-zone problems and you have no turnovers. You don't have this indecisiveness. And then if you watch him defensively, watch him at the blue lines in particular. So if you're watching the game tonight, or if you're listening on 101 ESPN, you know, Joey Vitale and Curbs, they'll do a great job describing it too. but he's standing guys up at the blue line. Where last year he was giving up the lines. Anthony, you've heard me talk about that before.
Yeah.
You can't just continuously give up the lines. And the one that's the most important is your blue line. You can't just give it up. The opponent should earn that. Well, it wasn't the case last year. And this year it has been. Now, that's a combination of things. Blues forwards are doing a great job of back-checking, getting back through the middle of the ice in order for Colton Parayko to keep his gaps tight, and then also gives him a great opportunity to angle guys and play them at the blue line, knowing he has the support of his teammates. But look at that aspect of the game. He has done a fantastic job of killing plays at the blue line or right inside the blue line and then moving the puck out of the zone. Mm-hmm. This is what you want from Colton Parayko. You want a guy that can break out the puck, play solid defensively, which he has, and then kill plays all over the ice, which he's done. And, oh, yeah, by the way, that goal he scored was an absolute piss missile the other night. I mean, absolute bomb. And what's funny about that is we got our guy Stan here who helps us out with some stats and some tidbits. Colton Parayko, that goal he scored makes him the third most game-winning goals by a St. Louis Blues defenseman in franchise history.
Really?
Yeah, so he passed Justin Falk, who's still obviously active, and Chris Pronger at 12 each. Al McInnes with 22, Alex Pietrangelo with 25. So those guys are, in the distance. But did you have on your bingo card that Colton Parayko would have 13 game-winning goals?
No.
Probably not. And I think he can have more. And I've said this before, I don't think he's a power play defenseman. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he looks at the game offensively the way some of the guys need to.
Sure.
But when he's active and he's involved and he's able to keep the pucks in at the blue line and then shoot the puck when he has the opportunity. The other game was fantastic. Oscar Sundqvist, net front presence. Colton Parayko gets the puck without hesitation. He didn't have to have, he didn't have to scrape the ceiling. We wound up, took a nice shot, and it went top shelf. It was a bomb. So he's contributing on both ends of the ice right now. And I think that this is the reason the Blues were so high on Parayko. This is the reason I said in the offseason and times before, if you trade Colton Parayko, you're going to go right back to looking for a Colton Parayko.
Yeah.
Because these guys don't grow on trees. 6'6" with that kind of speed, that kind of defensive ability, you just don't find that every day. So I'm happy for Colton Parayko that he's had a good start to the season. It's been imperative for the Blues and their success. And hopefully some of the fan base are seeing some of the things that I've seen.
That's Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter tonight. The puck will drop in Winnipeg, 7:45. We'll have the coverage for you on 101 ESPN, starting with our pregame show. Blues, Jets, Blues back in action after a couple of nights off. Looking forward to that one. And they have the Canada road trip. So they're on their Canada road trip right now. That's where Jamie Rivers is. In fact, he's doing this from his hotel today. He'll be on with us until 4 o'clock, and then Brad Thompson will join us for the final 2 hours of the show. It is the Fast Lane. So we didn't get into Marsh's Minnesota Vikings not doing what they were supposed to do last night, which is just lose, so that the Falcons can build a bigger lead in this Waffle House Challenge. No, Minnesota doesn't want to go away. There's two distinct storylines here. One, are we writing the Vikings off too soon? And two, what the hell's wrong with the 49ers now? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Fellas, are you using ED meds right now currently? Well, guess what? Nobody cares. No. What I care about is that you don't pay too much for those ED meds. And that's why the Medicine Shop in St. Charles should be your destination for cheap ED meds. They've got the generic called Sildenafil for less than $2 a pill. Boys, less than $2 a pill. You don't get that with that little blue pill. Now, prescription is required, of course. And if there are any other medicines that you require, maybe you have a schedule like mine where you're busy at nights or you're traveling or kids have tons of after-school activities and you can't get to the pharmacy, don't worry about it. Medicine Shop in St. Charles offers free, discreet shipping and delivery to your home or your workplace when available, of course. And they've got the full pharmacy as well. So if you have any questions or you need something in person, get in there. They're my pharmacy family. They're going to treat you just like me. It's like family. And they're going to answer all your questions, going to make sure that you leave there happy and satisfied with your experience with the Medicine Shop in St. Charles. So please get in there. Tell them Jamie sent you. They love hearing that. But if you can't get there in person, get there online. Visit them at stcharles.pharmacy. That's stcharles.pharmacy.
Yeah, I've always just viewed it as being a point guard and distributing, and whoever the other players are out there, I'll just be the distributor. And that's kind of the way I've always played going back to high school. So I've been fortunate to play with a lot of talented, skilled players through my years, and I'll keep doing that. But really, it's just my thought is I'm the point guard distributing to whoever it may be, and then Kevin's kind of the coach drawing it up, and I just got to go execute it.
That was Kirk Cousins following last night's upset victory for the Vikings, 22-17. Let's start off with the Vikings. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, Andrew Marsha, the Vikings fan, had to be fired up after last night. I thought Kirk Cousins was brilliant last night. I really did.
He was so good.
I thought he was outstanding. 35 of 45, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the 1 pick, but he didn't. It didn't matter. Like he just kept firing. Guys, the Vikings were 8 of 13 on third downs. 8 of 13. The 49ers could not get the Minnesota Vikings off the field. This was without Justin Jefferson. That was a brilliant display last night by Kirk Cousins. And I hate to pile on, but I've made this point in the past. Derek Carr's not winning that game. He's not. Now, Alexander Madison would have like 19 targets because he would just keep dumping the ball off. Kirk Cousins won that game last night for the Vikings. Now, of course, the Vikings defense also played well. I don't want to shortchange them. But Kirk Cousins was excellent. And he deserves just a little bit of praise for not the statistics, but for how he played. He kept firing. When the 49ers, the game started to tilt a little bit, and you thought the 49ers were going to come back, what did he do? Fired some key third down plays to KJ Osborne or to TJ Hawkinson, who had a big night. Obviously, Jordan Addison, the rookie, filling in essentially for Justin Jefferson. 2 touchdowns. But Kirk Cousins won the game. So when you see him throw a check down with the game on the line, be pissed off. Because that's within Kirk Cousins to do what he did last night. Again, Derek Carr's not winning that game. Derek Carr gets put in bubble wrap. Kirk Cousins gets crushed. But Kirk Cousins was a stud last night.
Yeah, so, being back on the road and traveling, it allows me time to dive into things that ordinarily I don't have an opportunity to do just because life is crazy and lots of kids and all sorts of stuff. Anthony, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I dove into the quarterback series on Netflix. Oddly enough, on the way here to Winnipeg. And I found myself really starting to like Kirk Cousins. Is he a dork? A little bit? Yes. 100%. But that's okay. I don't mean it in a negative way. Like he's a dork in a way that he's such a nice person. But then when he gets on the field watching this guy and the respect his teammates have for him and the relationship he has with his head coach and how they go about the game plan and the confidence that the coach has in Kirk Cousins, basically saying, he hates when people call him, they worry about his primetime numbers and all that crap that goes along with it. Kirk Cousins was the difference last night for me because there were a few times where the game could have went back the other way and he didn't let it happen. And to your point, Anthony, he didn't become check down Charlie because he was afraid of the moment or afraid of blowing the game. He made plays. And look, I'm not putting him in the category of Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or any of these guys that are like elite quarterbacks. But I do think Kirk Cousins deserves a little more respect than you've been giving him, Anthony. Quite honestly.
I agree. I agree.
I was waiting for the hook. There it was.
No, but all jokes aside, one game doesn't make a season, doesn't make a career. But consistently watching Kirk Cousins and then seeing the behind the scenes and the work that he puts in, and now you see it translating in real time for some of these games that are happening this year in the NFL for him. I don't know, man. It's got me thinking a totally different way about this guy.
I think that the team itself, that is what I think Minnesota fans have been waiting to see all season long. And it reminds me of, and hopefully their season doesn't end up like our St. Louis Cardinals did, where they had a stretch where they looked like the best team in baseball. And you're like, this is the team that we thought we were going to see in 2023, and then it lasted about a week.
Yeah,
and then they were terrible the rest of the way. I hope that doesn't happen to the Vikings, but it is nice to see that they can win a game against a really good opponent without the best player, in my opinion, at least the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great game. Jordan Addison, I know he's had a few touchdowns early on in the year. This was his breakout game, and in my opinion, he saved that game by ripping the ball out, which it would have been another interception. He ended up ripping the ball out and then running the rest of the way. I just thought it was a great game all around for the team. You mentioned the defense. That's a game that probably 2 years ago they ended up losing because of the defense. Last year, who knows, because they did win a lot of one-score games. But that was a game that we saw last year where they end up coming up big. And we have not seen that this year. And I think the big key is that they, for the most part, protected the football and didn't turn it over. Yeah, that certainly was a key. I also thought that Kevin O'Connell did a masterful job in protecting Kirk Cousins. I mean, you saw a bunch of chip blocks
You saw a bunch of, they would slide their protection over. They would move around their double teams. You have to do that against the 49ers because they've got, they've got not only Bosa, they've got Hargrave, they got Armstead, they got Gregory now. You have to slide your double teams in certain directions. And that group that I just mentioned didn't have a sack last night. And the Vikings had the ball in the air how many times? 40-something times? 45 times they threw the ball. Not one sack for the 49ers last night. Vikings didn't punt until midway through the fourth quarter.
I think a big thing that we can't overlook is Dalton Risner being on that starting offensive line. Mm-hmm. And I think this was his first start of the year for the Vikings. He didn't give up one sack. And I think the first play that they had, Madison took it for 19 yards, give or take, which is something that we have not really seen this year from Alexander Madison.
No, not at all. Now, for the 49ers, we can make this quick. Is Brock Purdy a system quarterback? We've had this discussion. Yeah, he fits perfectly in Kyle Shanahan's system. I also think without Deebo Samuel, you could see that this 49ers team, without the collection of talent, they go from being superheroes to being just a really good offense. And Purdy last night, the killers were the interceptions. It was the two interceptions. One sealed the game for the Vikings. Credit Minnesota in that regard. He was trying to make a play with the time winding down, but he still was 21 of 30 for 272 yards and 9.1 yards per play. The two turnovers cost him. Not having Samuel cost the play calling from a play calling standpoint. Otherwise, I give full credit to Minnesota. And we'll just leave it at that. 49ers got to figure it out. They got gouged on the run by the run last week, and last night they couldn't get off the field on third downs. This is still a really good team that has hit a rough spot, but they'll figure it out. They'll learn from these losses, and once they get fully healthy again, they're going to be fine. That's my take on the Niners.
Let's not forget that Brock Purdy last game drove the team downfield, got them into field goal range to win the game.
Yeah.
It's not his fault the kicker missed.
Right.
So, he throws the 2 picks last night against the Vikings, and people look back, he's lost 2 in a row. Is this guy, he's just a product of his environment. Let's not forget that he drove the ball down the field in the last minute of a game to set up his team for an opportunity to win the game. Yeah. If that kick goes in, then last night is a bleep on the radar. Mm-hmm. You look at it as, hey, the Vikings had a good night, and the 49ers not great. You bring up Deebo Samuel, all these things.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and absolutely blow it up or blow it out of proportion because last night they lost to the Vikings. Because it's 2 in a row, yes, but I feel very differently about the last loss than I did about the one last night.
Yeah.
I think a big thing, too, is they had no timeouts at the end of that game. If you give him 1, even 2 timeouts, there's a possibility that they do go drive down the field and score a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
He has to air that ball out because they're at a certain point or a certain spot on the field to where you have to get the ball downfield with how much time is left.
Yeah.
And things happen. Of course, you're probably going to end up throwing an interception. We see that a lot in the NFL from all quarterbacks, especially some of the elite ones.
I think he was still doing a good job managing that final drive. You saw a couple of times he threw in the middle of the field. He had plenty of time to do so. He had plenty of time to throw in the middle of the field. If you're running out of time, you cannot. But defenses beg you to throw in the middle of the field when you're running out of time. Hey, go ahead, man. You got no timeouts. You want to throw in the middle of the field? You can't get out. You can't get out of bounds, dude. We'll just tackle you and we'll play the clock game. Purdy had plenty of time to still do that. He just sailed the one. Got picked off. Again, all credit to Minnesota. They're now 3-4. They're kind of back in the wild card race, given the fact that the NFC is weak. That's a team now that maybe you start to build a little momentum if you're the Vikings. It's a fast lane on 101 ESPN. Jordan Binnington, still great, but what's the strategy now for a timeshare? Because he's going to be in between the pipes again tonight. Maybe Jamie's got some insights on when Joel Hofer starts to get back in the mix. It's next on 101 ESPN.
All right, fellas, listen up here for a second. Yeah, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Mentality. I went through a period of time where I had low energy, no motivation. I felt like I was tired all the time. I was a little depressed, and I didn't know why. And I thought, oh, boy, I'm trying to eat better and do things. but it just wasn't working. So I went in and saw the board-certified physicians at Mentality and described how I was feeling and what I was going through. They did a full blood panel for me, and they found out that I was low in testosterone as well as a few other vitamins. And since then, I have been on my own program specific to me, and I have been thriving. More energy than ever, less fatigue, better workouts. Anthony, I know you're going through the same thing.
If you're competitive and you know you haven't been playing at the top of your game, why not do something about it? That's what Jamie and I did. We went down to Mentality, same deal. Jamie did it first, and I could see the difference throughout the weeks for Jamie. And he had mentioned, he said, you got to get down there, And finally, Jamie just looked at me and goes, look, I'm taking you down there. And I did the same thing. I went through the process because we as guys, we tend to say, it's fine. We'll do that. I'll eat better. I'll sleep better. It's just a portion of time in life. It's a chapter in life. Screw that. You're living now. Why not live to the best of your ability? So go down, see the board-certified experts there at Mentality. You'll go through the same process that Jamie and I did. You'll get on one of their programs, and I'm telling you, Jamie's telling you, you're going to start to feel great. The workouts are better. The energy levels are high. You're doing tasks like you normally do, but then you get done with the task. You're like, all right, what's next? I'm ready to go. Mentality's fantastic, Jamie.
Yeah, and when you get over there and see them, please tell them that Anthony and Jamie sent you in. If you can't get there in person, though, please visit them at lowtusa.com. Again, that's Mentality at lowtusa.com.
To the blue line now to Letang. Shot on. Blocker save. Binnington in front. What a deflection on goal. Crosby tied up with Letty, and Crosby still deflected it right on top of the blue paint on net, and Binnington makes the save.
Chris Gerber on the call right here on the home of the Blues, 101 ESPN, and we had mentioned this before. You're watching it, as Blues fans. Jordan Binnington has been disgusting this year. He's been great. He has stopped 94 of 98 shots. He's got a 2-0-1 record. He's been excellent. The question is, so far, it's not like any fan is worried about it, Jamie, but I do think it's interesting. You've got a backup in Joel Hofer. He played the one game against the Coyotes. It did not go well from a team standpoint. But what winds up happening with this timeshare between Binnington and Hofer? Bring us into the mind of Craig Berube and what he might be thinking.
Yeah, well, one thing, let's hit on the fact that Jordan Binnington, let's go over his play here so far this season, because he has been everything you've needed him to be. Everything that you thought you had in your starting goaltender, you do have. And what's interesting about Jordan Binnington, and this is just a little tidbit, is that in the month of October, his winning percentage is .692 since becoming a regular NHLer. And in April, which is still very reassuring, so the end of the season, a comparable, his winning percentage is .674. So he starts strong, finishes strong, and in the middle, in the January-February range, it goes down to about .630. Still, that's well above the .500 mark that he was last year as a goaltender. And so I think that what he's been able to do so far this season is reestablish the fact that he is a number one goalie in the NHL and that he's the Blues' number one goalie. And he's going to continue to do so. Now, how do you handle the workload? Because that's the biggest thing. And I know the Blues coaching staff, in talking to David Alexander, their goaltending coach, and the rest of the coaching staff, they think the sweet spot for Jordan Binnington is somewhere around the 50-game mark, give or take. So whether it's 47 or 52 or somewhere in that range, they feel like Jordan Binnington operates best in and around that number. Last year, he played way too much. Now, was it because they absolutely wanted him to play that many games? No, it was more out of necessity because I don't believe they had the type of confidence in their backup goalie last year that they needed to have. So fast forward this year, you get a young guy named Joel Hofer who dominated at the American Hockey League level. We always talk about guys playing their way out of the minors. Well, Joel Hofer did that. He was fantastic. He was by far a number one, an all-star in the American Hockey League. So now what is he to the Blues? He's your backup. He's your 1B. He's your 1A, your 1B on this roster. So what does the workload look like? I think on a trip like this, where you've got 3 games, you've got the back-to-backers. I know that traditionally the backup goalie would get the second game of the back-to-back. I think Joel Hofer, for me, and I've said this before, I said it last year, I think they put him in Calgary this road trip. I think they want a couple things here. I think they want to get him in when the team is fresh for a number of reasons. One, your team is defending hopefully better in the first night than they would on the second night. But also, having more success in that first game helps the young player, the young netminder, build up confidence. And Jordan Binnington, he likes the workload. He loves the volume of shots. Like, maybe he doesn't love it, but he doesn't care. If you throw 50 at him, he's fine with it. Whereas if you throw 50 shots at Joel Hofer, maybe that's not working the right way for a young netminder to get himself started at the NHL level. I understand he's played games before, but this is the first season where he's here from hopefully start to finish as the Blues backup goalie. So I think, again, going back to the numbers thing, I think you're going to see some strategic placements of where Joel Hofer gets placed in. Not just your traditional, like, oh, it was a scheduled day off. I believe this coaching staff has a calendar that has scheduled days off. Then they have a second calendar that has, to be determined. And I think that you're going to see a lot of situations this year that are based upon whether it's team success, Binnington success, bumps and bruises for goalies, because they're no different than the players are from a standpoint of you're going to have tweaked hip flexors, groins, knees, back, shoulder. So how much are you making your goaltender play through? Maybe you don't have to. If Jordan Binnington tweaks a hip flexor, you don't have to push him through. You've got Joel Hofer. So then maybe Hofer gets 3 out of the next 4 while Binnington kind of mends up. So that's where I look at it this year. Is the Blues have way more flexibility from a roster selection standpoint to where they're not necessarily forced to do it the traditional way. It can kind of be a moving scale based on the fact that both goalies are very good.
Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel as though that in the NHL, it became a 2-goalie league about 5 or 6 years ago. Why the sudden change for teams? Is it just a matter of having more data, more focus on getting a goaltender healthy throughout the year? What led to the change, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. Look, I think stylistically, the way goalies play now is much different on a day-to-day basis than it used to be. Mm-hmm. I think the game is much faster than it used to be. And the data shows that for maximum performance for a lot of these goalies, it's in that 50 to 55 game range. You get the outlier every now and then, like Vasilevsky, who's had a tremendous workload. But let's stop for a second. Where's Vasilevsky right now?
He's on IR.
He's on the IR. The best goalie in the game is on the IR, in my opinion, because you've overworked him over the last couple of years. And so I think that, the league is learning from itself. I don't think it's like a work or a load management type thing. I think it's just being smart. What's weird is, and most people, 99% of the population will never get a chance to play goaltender at any level for ice hockey, let alone in the NHL. Oddly enough, I've had that opportunity. And I'll never forget thinking to myself, holy crap, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, I'm exhausted. The leg muscles that you have to use, the gear starts to get heavy, you're sweating profusely. Like, it's a grind. And so from that moment on, I started to understand how coaches should and should not use their goaltenders, and actually started to question in those times, at that moment, like, why are these guys playing so often? Like, I get it when you're making a playoff run. Mm-hmm. That's easy. But I think that's the key now for teams, is figuring out, like, that momentum, so when the playoffs come, your number one goalie is right where they need to be.
Yeah.
Not exhausted, not ready to just fold because they've been overworked all season long. And I feel like the Blues this year have that opportunity to really utilize the fact that they've got a 1A and a 1B to their advantage, because everybody knows Jordan Binnington is going to be your number one goalie starting the playoffs. Even if he doesn't finish as your number one goalie on the season, I would bet money that he's your number one goalie to start the playoffs. Why? Because he's historically shown us that he responds in the playoffs. Even the playoffs where Ville Husso started, who ended up taking over and who ended up carrying the ball across the goal line until he got injured was Jordan Binnington.
Yeah.
And so I think the team has ultimate confidence in the fact that Binner's going to be their playoff guy. Now, how do you get Binner to the playoffs with momentum and health? Because you don't want to overwork him down the stretch for various reasons. One, what if your team's not winning down the stretch? What if he's, a couple of bumps in the road? Are you willing to overlook the fact that maybe it's not as great as it can be, and then manage his workload? So the goalie's going to be pissed off at that point because he wants to play every game. And maybe you're not playing him because it's nothing to do with the performance. You're trying to keep him healthy and ready for the playoffs. But at the same time, the goalie doesn't realize that. The goalie's like, well, I'm not playing because you think I'm bad, or I want to redeem myself. So there's going to be a bit of a juggling act for the Blues all season long to make sure that Joel Hofer gets enough to keep him going, to keep his confidence going and his development on the rise, and also give Jordan Binnington enough to keep that momentum going for him as a number one goalie. So I think the key for the Blues is going to be communication with both goalies along the way, making sure that everybody understands, the game plan, and that everybody understands, like, at the end of the season, where you want to be is in the playoffs competing.
7:45, the puck will drop in Winnipeg tonight. That's where Jamie Rivers is, and he'll be with us from Winnipeg in his hotel for the next 45 minutes. The Blues pregame show starts at 6:30 tonight here on 101 ESPN. Of course, we'll have the play-by-play for you between the Blues and the Jets right here on your home of the Blues as well. We'll play Are You Sold next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
Dirt cheap, folks. St. Louis's one-stop party shop. They have an unbelievable selection at their locations, and whether you're looking for beers, I mean any kind of beer, they've got your IPs, they've got your domestics, they've got your number one beers, they've got you covered over there, and it's all at great prices too. That's the one thing about Dirt Cheap is you're getting the same product as other places, but you're getting a better deal, and that's important for your wallet, that's for sure. And if you're looking at wines, they've got a fantastic selection. And as far as other alcohols, the vodkas, the rums, how about the bourbons? That's where I'm talking about right there. The bourbons, they've got Jack Daniels, Elijah Craig, so many great options for you. And again, it's with these great deals. And one thing that we can't forget about is that Dirt Cheap has an app. What that app lets you do is you can get on there on a daily basis, and they've got special offers and discounts available. And it also lets you set up to where you can pick up your order through the drive-thru. So it's very convenient as well. So please don't hesitate to download the app as soon as possible and check out all the great deals and savings available. Please get into any location. Tell them that Jamie Rivers sent you in. You can ask them, what's Jamie's favorite bourbon? I bet you they'll tell you right there on the spot. Again, that's Dirt Cheap.
Time to play Are You Sold in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers, live from Winnipeg. I'm Anthony Stalter. Here is Andrew Marsh with some Are You Sold?
All right, gentlemen, are you sold on Mike Shildt getting the Padres managerial job and taking them back to the postseason?
No, I'm not sold on him getting the job necessarily.
Let me ask you this. Is he the guy that they're talking about right now? Because I haven't read anything, but is he the next man up? Is that what we're thinking?
So that's kind of the rumors. The Padres, so let's reset this. The Padres had Bob Melvin. They granted him permission to talk to the Giants, and the Giants hired him. They hired him today. So Bob Melvin, former A's manager, and last year with the Padres, he's now the Giants manager. Okay. The two internal candidates the Padres are considering are Shildt and Ryan Flaherty. So those are the two guys.
Jack's brother?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Part of me hopes that Mike Shildt gets another opportunity. I hope he does. Something happened within the Cardinals organization here. And as you and I have talked about, Jamie, it's not as cut and dry to just say the Cardinals screwed up, or the narrative has been, well, he pushed back against Mo, so Mo just fired him. I highly doubt that Mike Schilt was the only guy that has ever pushed back on Mo. Was the only guy that got fired for it. There's other things that were going on within the organization where they finally felt, okay, Schilt is not the right fit. If he gets a second opportunity, I'd be interested to see what happens because he was a good manager here for a short period of time. The Padres team's got they've got a lot of issues though. And I highly doubt they're just going to give him the same roster if they do wind up hiring him. They're going to have to make some really difficult decisions because you can't keep this up. This is not a good business model. You've brought this up, Jamie. This is not a profitable business market. Business model, excuse me. To pay a whole bunch of superstars that don't get you to the playoffs. Doesn't really work. So whatever route they go with the manager, that manager is not going to have the same roster to just do whatever he wants with. So I'll say no, or I'm not sold on the Padres getting back to the postseason if they do hire him.
Okay, so there was two questions in there. The one was, are you sold on him getting the job? Are you sold on him getting the job?
I'll say no as of right now.
Okay.
He's had opportunities before and teams have passed on him, so I do wonder if there's something there.
Yeah, teams passed on him, but the Padres have had him in the organization for a couple of years now.
True.
And so based on that and based on Schilte's success here in St. Louis, you have to deem it that because he made the postseason every year he was the manager.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gets it. I am sold on the fact that Mike Schilt will get the opportunity to right the ship here. And I think I'm sold on it because whether it's true or it's just illusion, people feel like he's a fundamentals guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Padre, and a little bit of a disciplinarian, too. He's got that barb to him, that old school barb that most people don't know about. But talking to players and people surrounding, he has that in him. And so I think the Padres might need that, or at least the ownership group might feel like this team is, a bunch of overpaid, bougie guys out here that maybe they need a little old school Mike Schilt, back to basics. So I am sold that I think he will get the job.
Next one here I got for you. Are you sold on there being a clear-cut top team in the NFL right now?
No, not after I was, but the 49ers have dropped the last two games, so you'd be foolish to say, yeah, there's a clear-cut top team. I don't know. Are we doing the Stalter stack up today, or is that tomorrow?
That is tomorrow.
Okay. Sneak preview, I will not have the 49ers atop the list again. You can't. You got to drop them. There is no clear-cut team. Jamie, you weren't on yesterday. Even though the Eagles were highly impressive on Sunday night against the Dolphins, they might be the best team in the league. I don't think they've played their best football. I don't think Jalen Hurts has played his best football. There isn't a dominant team right now. It was the 49ers. Then they went to Cleveland and lost, and then they went to Minnesota and lost. Dominant teams typically don't lose back-to-back games. So, no, I'm not sold that there's a clear-cut top team in the NFL.
Yeah, the top teams took a beating this weekend because anybody that was in the discussion, apart from the Eagles, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Eagles, to your point, Anthony, I don't know. Maybe they are the best team by default, but they haven't played what I would consider to be, dominant football all year long. But all the other teams, like if you had the Dolphins earmarked as your team, well, obviously they got put into place.
Yep.
The Lions, boy, did they get taken out behind the woodshed.
Ooh.
That was rough. The 49ers, they didn't win. So all these teams that you had on your bingo card as possible, best teams in the league, they lost. And so you have no choice but to look at it now and go, it's kind of anyone's spot at this point. So I'm not convinced either. I'm with Anthony on this one.
Are you sold on the Blues' plans for Robert Bortuzzo and Scott Perunovich so far this season?
Well, I think that, look, both players are in different situations here. And we get a lot of texts on the Air Comfort Service text line about Robert Bortuzzo. And, if he's on the trip, is he hurt? He's not injured. He is on the trip. But he's in a situation where he's a veteran defenseman that will be a depth piece for this team. Right now, the Blues view the roster stronger with Marco Scandella and Tyler Tucker in it than they do with Robert Bortuzzo. And those are the two guys that are direct competition for Robert Bortuzzo. And I say that in a good way. I mean, it's simple. You look at the roster, who is the guys that you take out of the lineup to put Bortuzzo in? It's one of those two guys. And Craig Berube and the coaching staff haven't felt like there's been a need for a change yet. And here's what happens to veteran players like Robert Bortuzzo. And I can say this because I was this guy. They look at it and go, okay, Tyler Tucker needs to play. He's playing the right side right now where Bortuzzo plays. Bortz, you've had enough games in this league. We're gonna count on you to stay healthy and in shape in practice and ready to go. And when we need you, you'll get the call.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You're on a as needed basis right now if you're the Blues looking at Robert Bortuzzo. And it's tough because the competitive player inside of Robert Bortuzzo not only wants to play every night, thinks he should be playing every night. So that's one half of the equation. The other half is Scott Perunovich. So if we flip this now, somebody in the top four pretty much has to stumble or get hurt for Scott Perunovich to play because he's a power play guy, puck-moving guy. He's not going to be on the bottom pair that are out there matched up against third and fourth liners. I think we've seen in preseason and even in regular season before where the defensive side of the game is his biggest challenge right now as a young defenseman. So I think that he's somehow going to have to get reps at some point. I don't know exactly how they're going to handle it. I feel like there might be a game coming up in the future where Craig Berube goes 11-7 on the back end just to get him in the lineup, get him some reps. But Scott Perunovich has to just continue to work hard in practice and raise the confidence level of the coaching staff that he's learning and executing enough defensively in order to play on a regular basis. And that's going to be the challenge, is how do you develop without the time, but how do you get the time unless you have the ability?
Right.
It's kind of a gray area right now that's really tough for both the player and the organization to navigate, but it's 82 games. Injuries happen, things happen. So the whole world that's watching this, and including the players and the team and the coaching staff, everybody just has to kind of be patient and kind of wait and see what the next 10 games looks like.
Obviously, the NHL regular season has already been underway, but the NBA gets underway tonight. Tomorrow, we will see the Spurs take on the Dallas Mavericks. My question for you guys is, are you sold on Connor Bedard and Victor Wembanyama living up to the hype, not only for this season, but for their entire career?
Wow. That's so difficult. These guys, Wembanyama hasn't even played yet.
Yeah.
And Bedard has only played a handful of, barely played. So I think the expectations for both of these guys are like Greek god-esque expectations. I don't know if anybody ever reaches those kinds of expectations. I mean, LeBron was put on a pedestal as well, and I think he has fulfilled everything that everybody ever thought that he would be.
Yeah.
But, Michael Jordan, he became what he was, but he came from, I'll say, relative obscurity. He was certainly a highly touted young player, but he didn't come into the NBA with the LeBron expectation.
No, and different time, too, with the social media and all that, too.
100%. Tom Brady, same thing. He was a late pick, came in.
Yep.
So I don't know if they meet the expectations or not. The odds would tell me that they don't meet the hype based on the fact that the hype train is just so big and moving so fast for both of these players. But, time will tell.
They're also playing for bad teams. I mean, the Spurs have been bad for a while now. He's gonna get great coaching, but the Spurs have been so bad for several years now. The Blackhawks have basically tanked, and they're bad. So to just expect that these two guys are going to turn around franchises that have been terrible, I think is a big ask. So I guess I'll say I'm not sold on that because they've got a steep hill to climb. But I am excited to watch both of those players do what they do in the early going. That is Are You Sold? Let's talk about the impact of a good captain on a retooling team. Not a rebuilding team, but the Blues are a retooling team. The impact of Braden Shen and what he has already had. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Listen, selling your home is a big deal, and now is not the time, specifically right now, not the time to just go with any average agent. You want to go with someone who is the best in the business, and that is Gloria Liu with your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And a couple reasons why is that the market is always shifting and changing, and people have a lot of questions, especially right now. Like, is selling my home during holiday season a good idea? I'm not sure. What price should I be asking for my home? Those are all easy questions for Gloria Liu. She's going to take great care of you. I can promise you that. She also has the buyers ready for you. Gloria has thousands of ready buyers in her exclusive database. All that does is create a higher demand and more traffic to your listing, and hopefully more money for you at the end of it. And let's not forget she has great options available. And the best option that I like from Gloria Liu is the guaranteed sales, where Gloria will sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she will buy it herself, and she guarantees all of that in handwriting. So please pick up the phone and call Gloria Liu. Tell her Jamie Rivers sent you in. That number is 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or you can visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions do apply. Gloria and the seller must agree upon the price and possession date.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues taking on the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Pre-game for that one will be at 6:30. Puck drop is at 7:45. Catch all the action right here on the Blues Radio Network, 101 ESPN. Yesterday, the Diamondbacks defeated the Phillies 5-1 in Game 6. They will force a Game 7. The winner will take on the Texas Rangers as the Rangers punch their ticket to the World Series last night with an 11-4 victory over the Houston Astros. Adolis Garcia was named the ALCS MVP. Minnesota defeated the San Francisco 49ers last night on Monday Night Football by a final score of 22-17. Once again, Blues Jets pregame at 6:30. Puck drop is at 7:45. This has been your SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Don't pull over.
Jamie, we were all excited when Braden Shen was named captain of the St. Louis Blues team. And you had said right from the get-go, and Blues fans, I felt like Blues fans were pretty unified with this unanimous decision that Braden Shen should be the captain. Thus far, what can we tell with the way that this team has played, the impact that Braden Shen has made thus far on a retooling team? Just in general, what does a good captain do for a retooling team?
Yeah, so when you have a rebuild or a retool in this situation with the Blues, it's essential you have the right person at the top of the food chain, because that person is not a voice for management. It's not a voice for the coaching staff. It's a voice for the players, and it's a voice to the players. And if you have the wrong guy there, especially during a season where, look, there's going to be ups and downs. You know, this Blues team isn't just fixed to where they're going to dominate the whole year. I mean, I hope they do. That'd be amazing. But there are going to be some times during this season where things are difficult. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the right guy at the top of this thing, it can go sideways in a hurry. And this is where there's differences between Ryan O'Reilly and Braden Shen. And I'll go back to 3 seasons ago where I thought, quite honestly, Braden Shen had an opportunity to get the C ahead of Ryan O'Reilly. They're just two different personalities. Both are great leaders, great players. They lead by example, all of those things. One tends to be a little more quiet, which would be Ryan O'Reilly. And I think last year in particular, there were moments where I think the group could have used more from the leadership group. And that's why Braden Shen is so important this year. Already in the early stages of this season, like it started in the summertime, before he was even named captain, he'd taken over and driving the bus straight forward, like workouts on the ice, organizing things, getting things ready. And then when training camp came, you know, he set the tone right away. He was in great shape. He was ready to go, working hard, letting the team know what the expectations are from them and from himself. And then recently, you know, the media always, like we always want to ask, you know, what went wrong last year? What's different this year from last year? And in particular, following the Coyotes game, you know, does this remind you of last year? And Braden Shen was like, listen, guys, we're done with last year. That's gone. There's a new group of players here. Now we're playing a different system. So with all due respect, like last year is gone, done. And I thought that was a pivotal moment. It was a guy that basically just protected his entire team from that point on. Because now if you're a media member and you go ask about last year, like, come on, you already know what the team philosophy is that last year is gone. We're focusing on this year, in the now and moving forward. So I thought that was a very big moment. I also felt like, and Jeremy Rutherford has a great piece over at The Athletic discussing some of these things as well. You know, Jake Neighbors got elevated in lineup, and it's one thing to say, hey, kid, let's go. Let's have a great game or whatever. But Braden Shen went out of his way, you know, the day before to say, hey, man, this is going to be a great opportunity, And I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but basically, let's go out there and really make a difference and do this, that. So that's a young player now who's nervous to begin with, excited, but now he has the reassurance of his captain that, like, not only are you part of his line, but he's got your back too. Like, you're on my line now. Let's go do something. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that picking the right guy matters. We talked about the dust-up the other day in practice between Schenn and Kyrou. It was needed. It was needed that the intensity level be matched by the rest of the team. When you see your captain out there battling in a drill and then giving it to Jordan Kyrou, who, listen, did he deserve it or not in the drill? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention enough at that point. I just saw the aftermath of it. But it sets a precedent. Odds are he probably wasn't giving everything he had. And Braden Schenn said, well, if you're not going to go hard, I'm going to go extra on you. And then what was great was there was some pushback from Kyrou. There was. And I know he didn't want to drop the mitts with him. I get it. I don't think it would have come to that. But there was pushback. And then from that point on, Kyrou elevated his practice standards. You could see it. He was a little more intense. Maybe he was pissed off. Maybe he was mad. Doesn't matter. It worked. So that's why I feel like picking the right guy in a retool is essential for the overall success of the retool. Yeah. Because Braden Schenn is a guy that, he plays hard, he blocks shots, he fights, he hits. The offense hasn't been there yet. And I kind of want to nip that in the bud, too, with some of the fan base. Not all of them. Some people have said, well, maybe the captaincy's too heavy on him. He can't focus on scoring goals right now. No, that's not it. That's not it.
The C is extra fabric on the sweater, so that would make sense. Things are he moves a little slower now.
Yeah, it's affecting his slap shot for sure. But Braden Schenn, what he's doing, what he's providing for this team is that leadership, and he's sacrificing of himself too. So, being a leader in any business or even in your own household, it's sacrificing of yourself for the betterment of the family, the group, the company, the team. And I feel like Braden Schenn right now, it's not that he's sacrificing his offensive game, but he's making sure that the defensive side of the game is there. He's making sure that the physicality is there. He's making sure his teammates are set up for success. So all of this whole thing, just to say that, Doug Armstrong, Craig Berube, and the Blues, in my opinion, made the right choice in putting the C on Braden Schenn's jersey, because it's more than just, what the eye sees. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that he's been phenomenal at already so far this season.
No doubt. That's Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Line on 101 ESPN. Speaking of Jamie, he's got keys to the game tonight for the Blues as they take on the Jets. Pre-game right here on 101 ESPN starting at 6:30. Jamie's last segment before he goes and does some TV work. Jamie's keys to the game, and we'll also do our first goal of the game. Nobody had Verana last time. Verana was the answer. We didn't have him, so nobody got a point for that. Jamie, you and I might want to pick a home run.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, for tonight, too.
At some point,
players.
If once we get to the World Series, Game 1, we're both picking 4 players.
Okay.
Two on each team.
One of us has got it.
Can you imagine the season ending and we don't have a home run winner?
No, it's terrible.
No. So it's not right.
Tonight we'll do one. We'll do one player from each team again, and then we're just going to have to keep expanding this because again we can't have a tie when it's all said and done. Jamie's keys to the game, first goal of the game, next on 101 ESPN.
Are you in the market for replacement windows? Well, please visit my friends over at Window World, preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. A couple things about Window World. They are one of 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they're also ranked number 1 in number of windows sold in the country and that's by Qualified Remodeler Magazine. First of all, Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that's not commonly found in replacement windows. How do I know this? Because I stood on the window. That's right. Went by the warehouse. They put a window on the ground. I stood on it, kind of bounced up and down a little bit, and the window did not break. That just tells me it's a great product. What also they have is a great warranty with it. They have a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts, the glass breakage, and the labor. And let's not forget that Window World is still offering 18 months same as cash financing with approved credit. So please, without hesitation, if you're in the market for replacement windows, call my friends at Window World. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you. That number is 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800, or look them up at windowworld.com.
All right, Jamie, give it to us. Jamie's keys to the game. Jets, Blues tonight in Winnipeg. What do you got for us, kid?
Well, first thing I've got is that the Blues have to play the game northbound. And all that means is, pushing the pace up the ice. You can't let the Winnipeg Jets establish any kind of zone time on you. They're a big team. They're a heavy team. They've got some guys that can really play in the offensive zone, and you want to limit that. So to play the game northbound, which is, moving towards the opposition's net. Second thing I've got is get that power play going. You've managed to get points in almost every game so far this year without your power play scoring a goal yet. So take the stress off of some of the goal scoring guys and take the stress off your goaltender. Go get a power play goal. Once they score one, they start to feel better. Maybe you get 2 in one game, but you got to somehow try to create some momentum here and create more offense for your team, and that'll come off of the power play. So get the power play going. 3, I don't know if Pavel Buchnevich will be in or not for sure tonight. I would lean towards that he's back. Even if he's back, keep that Saad, Thomas, Kyrou line together. For me, that's a big key right now. They generated a ton of offense the other night. Brandon Saad looked phenomenal playing on the left wing with those guys. It took him a couple of games to get that chemistry going, but it looked really good last game. So for me, for the third key is to keep that line together. The last key I have for this game is low-risk shots for Jordan Binnington. Keep that middle of the ice congested. The Winnipeg Jets have a few guys that can hurt you from the inside and the outside. Mark Scheifele is a guy that can get to the front of the net and score goals. 42 goals last year was a career year for him. He's going to play a ton for this team tonight. You want to try and block the middle of the ice on him. And Kyle Connor, he's another big-time scorer for them. He's got tremendous speed, great skill. Doesn't necessarily like the middle of the ice. So take that away from him. Keep the pucks coming from the outside. Get rid of that loose change in front of the net for Jordan Binnington and let him have a game where even if he sees 30 shots, most of them are from non-dangerous areas. So those are my keys to the game tonight for the St. Louis Blues.
If the Blues are going to, let's just say, establish dominance early, Jamie, could this be one where it looks like the Penguins matchup, where they really take a hold of the game relatively early, and I don't know about you, but I didn't get the sense that the Penguins are going to come back. I thought the Blues almost seized control of that game from the outset, and it's like, this is going to be all the Blues game. Can they also do that against the Jets? Is this one of those matchups where they can grab hold of the game from the outset and that's it?
So the Jets play really well at home, and they start quickly here. It's always a rowdy crowd here. There's a lot of energy in the building. So establishing, that game in the first period, or that dominance, for lack of better words, is going to be difficult.
Sure.
It really is. So for me, scoring the first goal is going to be huge tonight for the Blues. Let's go back to that, first of all. Last game against the Penguins, they scored the first goal, or they had a lead for the very first time all season long. So it's a different animal when you can play ahead in the game rather than trying to catch up constantly throughout the game. So for me, I'd love to see the Blues score the first goal tonight. And then in an environment like this against a team that plays like the Winnipeg Jets, you want to be even or better going into the first intermission.
Okay.
And then from there, the game usually settles in. And that's when you can do your damage. And that's what happened the other night with the Penguins. The second period was a fantastic period for the Blues, so much so that the Penguins had to call a timeout. The wheels were kind of falling off a little bit. And once the Blues grabbed a hold of that game, they never gave it back. So as far as the flow of the game is concerned, I'd like it to be a lot like Pittsburgh, to where you're even or better after the first intermission, and then you let your game establish itself early in the second period and hopefully take it over so that you're playing with a lead somewhere near the third period, and now it's up to your players to close it out.
That's Jamie Rivers. That's Jamie's keys to tonight's game against the Jets. Now it's time for the first goal of the game.
Let's go, boys.
We need you to score more goals.
Get those loose pucks.
Thomas to Kyrou. Score!
Goal!
No big deal. Game winner.
No big deal. So none of us scored with that Penguins game. That was the first time or maybe was it the Coyotes game or the Penguins game that we did, Marsh? I think it was the Coyotes.
It was the Coyotes game, yeah, because like you said, Verona ended up scoring that first goal.
Yep, so nobody's on the scoreboard as of right now. Jamie, why don't you go first?
Okay, no pressure.
Yep.
I think Jordan Kyrou gets the first goal tonight. I think that he's due. I think that line has been playing very well. He's going to have some opportunities early. So my pick for first goal is Jordan Kyrou.
I'm going to go with Justin Falk. I think
Really?
he shoots one from the point, makes its way through, got some bodies in front, and slips one home.
Okay. I like my Marsh. Marsh almost goes off the board sometimes.
He
I
does.
like that. If Pavel Buchnevich is back tonight, Jamie, where do you see him playing? Does he go right back to where he was, or do you have a different line combination?
I would have a different line combination.
What would
if
be?
he comes back, I could see him playing with Braden Shen and Kasperi Kapanen.
That's what I was thinking. So if
Anthony, I just
I got you. I don't know anything. I got no dukes. All right, so if Buchnevich comes back, he's with the line with Shen. He's on the line with Shen and Kasperi Kapanen. I think Pavel Buchnevich shoots one that Shen deflects in.
Oh!
I got Braden Shen to score the first Blues goal tonight. Braden Shen. He's in front of the net. That's where you score your goals, I'm told. And Shen gets one off the deflection. So there you have it. So I have Shen. Marsh has Justin Falk. Jamie took Jordan Kyrou.
Would you guys like to do your home run derby?
Yes, we would. Yes. He's almost comical at this point.
Go Phil! Go Phil!
I don't believe what I just saw. Home run.
All right, Jamie. I believe you went first last time, and then I got the double dip. So why don't I go first this time? Then you got the double dip. One Philly, one Diamondback each. I'm going to take the obvious one. I'm going to take Kyle Schwarber. So now you get to do both of your picks here.
All right, I'm going to go. He went chalk. So
I went chalk for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go a different direction.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Bryce Harper.
The co-chalk.
And our guy, Tommy Pham.
Okay. He hit one yesterday, obviously.
He was pissed off that he was not in the lineup before, didn't like it, came back.
Yep.
Now he's got that edge to him. So Tommy Pham and Bryce Harper for me.
All right, so I took Kyle Schwarber. I'm also going to take Gurriel, who hit one yesterday too. So you and I are on the same page of home runs come in bunches. You took Pham, who hit one yesterday. I'm going to take Gurriel, who hit one yesterday. So I have Schwarber and Gurriel. Jamie has Pham and Bryce Harper. If anybody else hits a home run first, Jamie and I are going to have to match up again for Game 1 of the World Series. We'll take 4 players that night, and then we'll just keep expanding it as the World Series go until we get to the whole damn roster. And then we've got like somebody will win. All right, Jamie, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. You'll be back with us full show tomorrow. Have a great call tonight.
You got it. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
BT's going to join us next. Does he get chosen for another gauntlet? We'll find out here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, and we called our guy Stewie today to talk about credit reports. And Stewie, I know because you've taught us well that when you're looking at your credit report for maybe your credit card company, that's not the same report that's being run if you're looking for a house. How so?
Anthony, there's two major misconceptions about credit bureaus. Number one, there's over 400 different credit score models, 400 Experians, 400 TransUnions, 400 Equifaxes. Different credit scores for different kinds of creditors. Car companies have different credit scores than credit card companies. Mortgage credit score is different than what you see on your credit card statement. You need to call us and find out what your mortgage credit score is to see whether or not you do or don't qualify. I've had customers that I'd say they have 500 credit scores turn out to be 700 and vice versa. So don't think that your credit score is for a mortgage what you see on those statements. Number two is we just dealt with a customer that was told by a previous lender, don't go have other lenders pull your credit, because if it does, it'll ruin your credit, and I won't be able to do the loan for you. We had an ESPN listener we closed today. He was told by a rocket ship mortgage, don't let other lenders pull your credit, otherwise it's going to ruin your score. You won't be able to do it. That's not true. The credit agencies know that other people shop for credits for mortgages, and since they shop for mortgages, you won't be penalized if a second lender pulls your credit within 30 days. Be smart. Compare, shop. You'll see we're the best around. You'll get the bagel loan, and we'll tell you your credit score properly.
This is exactly why Stewie has to be your first call. Those are two things that I had no idea about, and I know I'm not alone when it comes to that stuff. So please pick up the phone. His personal cell phone number is 314-324-4440.
Again, 314-324-4440.
Call him, text him, day, night, weekend. Any question you have, Stewie's got the answer for you. He's our guy. He needs to be your guy. Anthony, if they can't remember the number, what can they do?
You can always Google the bagel loan. Thanks, Stewie.
Have a good night, guys.
Warriors, 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you master the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit masstour.com.
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN 404. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Joined now by our guy, Brad Thompson, live from his home. What's up, BT?
What's going on, Anthony? I heard you needed a pinch hitter for the Gauntlet today. It's gone pretty well for me recently, so happy to jump in. Happy to jump in. And what is up with Jamie? I mean, can't even do a whole show. I know. I mean, if you're going to be on the show, be on the, you know what, never mind. Let's do the Gauntlet.
That's the one and only Brad Thompson. Andrew Marsh is here as well. Again, I'm Anthony Stalter. Marsh, who do we have today?
Today we have Ryan joining us.
All right. What's up, Ryan?
What's going on, fellas?
You ready to rock?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you been in the Gauntlet before?
Never. I've been listening for years, but I've never actually done it myself.
Well, we appreciate you listening.
Nice.
Thank you. So good luck to you today. Would you like to take on BT, Andrew Marsh, or me?
Well, I got to go BT after his comment about being 2-0 recently, so we're going to have to end that one.
The overconfident.
Again, Anthony, I was really trying to just sway him a different direction. I've been very fortunate 2 times in a row. So
Ryan is obviously competitive. He wants you, BT. So, BT, you go in your own makeshift cone of silence. I'll text you to come back. How about that?
Will do.
All right. There you go.
See ya.
So BT's going to make his way into some different part of the basement. And we may need to take the camera off him now, too.
Well, I think a lot of people would like to see where BT is going.
Does BT know that? There we go. Okay, maybe he blacked out the camera himself. All right, Ryan, go ahead. Tell Marsh to spin the wheel.
Marshy, spin that wheel.
All right, I'm going to give it a harder spin today. What are you hoping for, Ryan?
I'd be good with football or baseball, but I think I'd be all right with any of them.
Okay, random. It spun random today. How you feeling?
Of course. You know.
We tightened up the Tyler O wheel, and yesterday I didn't give it a good spin. Today was a hearty spin, but it still spun pretty quickly. But either way, it came up random. So Mark's going to give us the launch codes. As you know, Ryan, you're going to get 4 questions, all random. BT's going to get the same 4 questions today. If you need the options, those questions are worth 1 point. If you don't need the options, those questions, are worth 2 points. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, here we go. What is the process of gas turning into liquid called? What is the process of gas turning into liquid called?
I want to say it's evaporation, but let me get the option.
Sure. Is it sublimation, condensation, or evaporation?
Let's go evaporation.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
Question number 2. Which continent has the largest desert?
I think that's Africa.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, Ryan, question 2. How many pairs of ribs do humans have? How many pairs of ribs do humans have?
Let's do 10.
Final answer?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
5 pairs, 10 total.
5 pairs of ribs?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Yeah, that'll be final answer.
Okay.
Final question. Which WNBA team recently defeated the New York Liberty in the WNBA final?
Oh, man. A WNBA question, huh?
It is random.
I want to say the Arizona team, but I don't know if they're based out of Phoenix. What are the options?
Options are the Chicago Sky, the Dallas Wings, or the Las Vegas Aces.
It's going to be the Las Vegas Aces. Final answer.
All right, I'll text BT right now. Ryan, how you feeling?
You know.
Not great?
Not great.
Okay, well, let's see. These questions are definitely challenging. All right, I just texted BT. So BT obviously looking at some... Boy, we're getting a good shot of his basement right now.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's coming back. Here
he comes.
So he's in his makeshift cone of silence. Oh, there's a Nerf gun. Beautiful basement there. And we're ready to go. He's putting on his headset. BT, you got us?
Back.
All right.
Yes, I got you.
All right, good stuff. We appreciate the shot of the basement there.
Oh boy, I'm glad I didn't show you the floor. It is pretty dirty around here. I got Nerf guns everywhere.
Hey, that's all right.
That's a lot. There's a lot going on here.
All right, BT, are you ready?
I think so. Yeah, I'm going to try to be ready.
Your the wheel, the Tyler O wheel, it spun random today. You got random trivia.
I like random. I got to be honest.
Okay, good.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Question number 1. What is the process of gas turning into liquid called? What is the process of gas turning into liquid called?
Gas turning into liquid. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't know it was science. That's damn. Gas turning into liquid. This. Oh no, the other way around. Gas into liquid. Liquid into gas would be vaporization, right? Evaporization. Give me the options then.
Sublimation, sublimation, condensation, or evaporation.
Well, evaporation would be the opposite, right? So this is liquid turning into a gas or gas into a liquid?
Process of gas turning into a liquid. Gas turning into a liquid.
Wait, well, maybe. Yes. Into a liquid. I'm going to go condensation.
Final answer?
Condensation, yes.
Question number 2. Which continent has the largest desert?
Largest desert would have to be. I'm going to have to just go. Oh, is it? Are they sneaking that over there somewhere in Asia? I'm just going to go Africa.
Final answer?
Yeah.
All right, BT. Question 3. How many pairs of ribs do humans have?
How many pairs?
How many pairs of ribs do humans have?
Hold on. 8 pair.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question number 4. Which WNBA team recently defeated the New York Liberty in the WNBA final?
Oh, yeah. The Las Vegas Aces. Go ahead, Becky Hammond. 2 in a row. No big deal for them. And a nice little fact, Anthony. I don't know if you know this one. The Aces have never won a championship where the Golden Knights also didn't win a championship.
Really?
That's
wow.
It's history.
Fun fact.
Yeah, it's kind of what that is.
Sure.
Right
yeah, and you, of course, been a Las Vegas fan, long-suffering Vegas Golden Knights fan for, a long time now.
And Aces fan.
And Aces fan, yeah. So you're celebrating big time these days.
I believe the Tom Brady has a stake in ownership.
Does he now?
And I think the hair does, too.
What's the hair?
Yeah, what's the hair?
More like who is the hair?
Who's the hair?
Mark Davis.
Oh, does he?
Oh, wow. The owner of the Raiders also has a stake in the Las Vegas Aces.
He might.
It's crazy
he
because it must be a minority stake because they win. You know,
he's not that involved in that one.
He's not the face of it.
Let's go over these. BT versus Ryan. We'll start there. Which WNBA team recently defeated the New York Liberty in the WNBA final? Ryan, you said the Las Vegas Aces. BT, you said the Las Vegas Aces. Correct answer is?
It is the Las Vegas Aces.
But BT did not need the options. Ryan did. So BT's got a 2-1 lead over Ryan. What is the process of gas turning into liquid called? Ryan, with the options, you went evaporation. BT, with the options, you went condensation. Correct answer is?
It is condensation.
BT now with a 3-1 lead over Ryan. Which continent has the largest desert? Without the options, you guys both went Africa. Correct answer is?
It does start with an A. However, it is Antarctica.
I was shocked.
Shut up. That's not real. Not real. Desert. Okay.
Antarctica is the largest desert on Earth, almost twice the size of the Sahara Desert.
That's crazy.
With sand, or is it like ice?
Either way.
Yeah, no, not
desert.
Either way.
Either way, largest desert. So we still have a 3-1 lead for BT. How many pairs of ribs do humans have? Neither of you needed the options for this one, or at least neither of you used the options. Yeah, you didn't use them. You both have different answers. BT, you went with 8. 8 pairs of ribs. And now you're trying to count the ribs.
I'm low, I think.
Ryan, you went with 5 pairs of ribs. If it's 5, we go to a walk-off. If it's any other answer but 5, BT wins today. Ryan.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose. Not today.
It was not 5. It also was not 8. Correct answer is 12. 12 pairs of ribs we have, apparently, as humans.
Where are they all hiding?
I don't know.
Where are all those?
Yeah, 12. That was a tough one. BT did beat Ryan today 3-1. Sorry, Ryan. Thanks for playing. Thanks for listening.
I appreciate it, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan seems down. I don't blame him.
I'm down on the fact there's no chance. Like, no wonder Marilyn Manson did that. That's too many.
I don't think that. I think that was. I think that was a rumor, Brad.
Whatever. I believe in it. I believe it.
By the way, BT, a desert is an area of land that receives no more than 25 centimeters, aka 10 inches, of precipitation a year.
Yeah, but is it Iceland or is it like desert? Like
you heard the man.
You know, a normal person would think a desert is.
I'm just reading the definition.
It's not what the normal person thinks. It's what science says. Or
look, and we all know this. It's
biology
not
or
whatever
geography.
the answer is. It's what we say the answer is. So
exactly.
No, I get it.
Yeah, BT, you're 3-0 now. That's the bottom line.
Good.
You're 3-0.
Does feel good.
Nice job, kid. And you won it on basically on the Las Vegas Aces. So you got to feel good. You being a Vegas kid. You
that
gotta be excited
helps.
for that.
I mean, it really does. And the fact that I've been following the WNBA since its inception, I think helps as well. So.
Yep, you were the one to come up with that answer on the fly there. That was fantastic.
Right. I'll
nice
get
job.
my Aces jersey on the commercial break.
I believe that big time. Hey, is there something cooking with Yadi? We'll get into that conversation next on 101 ESPN. I was down at the Missouri Athletic Club today. The West Clubhouse is getting a workout in. I was talking to one of their trainers down there, Paul. He's fantastic. Kind of runs things from a training standpoint. He does great work. All the trainers do an outstanding job at the West Clubhouse. Courtney downtown, if you want to go see Courtney when it comes to personal training, she's excellent. She's who you want to go to when it comes to the downtown Missouri Athletic Club. It's one of the facets that I really enjoy about the Missouri Athletic Club. You see people, you see a lot of the same people every day. You get to know them. You get to know what they do. From a networking standpoint, from a social standpoint, it's a great spot. Whether you're an individual or whether you're somebody that's got a large family like I do, I enjoy going down in the Missouri Athletic Club, which is the West Clubhouse at the downtown spot, and just getting involved with all the things that they have, events going on all the time. That's the Missouri Athletic Club, Miami C. So I realized during the Gauntlet when BT, you had stepped away, we have our Zoom link up so I can see you. Of course, we also have the Air Alliance Team YouTube channel up and going. You, when you walked away into the cone of silence, you took your phone with you. I thought that was the live stream. I was like, BT, don't go.
You think I'm going to take my computer with me?
But I didn't. I wasn't doing the math on it, all right? Because I'm not looking at the Air Alliance Team YouTube channel. I'm looking at you on the screen here in the studios. I was just praying you didn't take it into the bathroom or something. But that would have just been for my pleasure, not for anybody else.
By the way, that is such an easy mistake to make because, like, with all these Zooms and all this crap, this stuff just goes on in the background of your phone. Like, I was just shooting a text a minute ago and realized that you were probably looking up my nose on the Zoom.
You're good.
So it is in play at this point.
All right, so let's talk about Yadi Molina. In an interview with WKAQ 580, Yadi Molina talked about his future.
Real quick, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Anthony, sorry, real quick. Can you say in an interview on the internet?
In an interview on the internet, Yadi Molina. Yes, you got to really slow down and, define those words there. In an interview on the internet, Yadi Molina talked about his future as a coach in the major leagues. Here is what he said. There is something cooking. I have had various offers in the United States last year with Miami and St. Louis. This year, I have offers too. I think there is something cooking with St. Louis. There's a 90% chance that it happens. They are decisions that someone must take into the future. I see myself managing, coaching in the United States for a few years. I like it. I am a guy that is fascinated with baseball, and I'm passionate about it. To have an opportunity like that, I cannot pass. Yadi Molina talks about being offered a coaching job with the Cardinals. This is what Yadi said. St. Louis has given me the opportunity. It is my second home. There is always a good relationship and communication with them. They're trying to guide me to that way in the matter of being a coach. They have the staff who have done a good job with the team. It would be an opportunity that would be hard to say no to. I love St. Louis. I love baseball, and St. Louis has been the best baseball in the world. I would like to be in St. Louis. I mean, this seems like a slam dunk, Brad. I don't see how this could go sideways. So, what capacity? In what capacity will Yadi be joining the staff, Brad?
Well, that's why I'm really looking forward to. First of all, I'm looking forward to the World Series, looking forward to another Game 7 tonight, but I'm really looking forward to after the World Series when we actually hear from the organization and kind of see the whole state of affairs and what we know where the team is at, we know what they're wanting, but I mean this is a big question mark if Yadi is going to be there because it's been very one-sided when we're talking about the Yadi has talked about this. We haven't heard it from the organization to this point, but we haven't heard anything from the organization at this point. So, first of all, was there anything that stood out to you in that little snippet? Was there like a piece of it that you read and you were like,
Yeah, I would say the 90% part, that kind of stuck out, 90%, that seems pretty damn definitive. When you say there is a 90% chance that it happens, I mean, you think about it from like a political standpoint, Brad. It's like 54% of the people are voting this way. It's like, that's over. It's done. This is 90%. So,
yeah, that was interesting. The one for me that stood out was right after that line was they are decisions that someone must make in the future. What does that mean? Like, is that putting the pressure on the organization to bring him back in the capacity that he wants to come back in? Like, I don't know exactly whose decisions, in the future. Here's what I do know, and he talked about his fascination, his love for the game of baseball. There is not a better mind in baseball than Yadi Molina. There's more experienced managers, certainly, in the game. There's more experienced coaches, but he's essentially been doing both of those jobs while playing at a Hall of Fame caliber level his entire career. So as we talked a little bit about yesterday, and I think, last week even when some of this news started trickling out, of course, you want that guy in the organization. The question is, in what capacity? The other thing that stood out is that sneaky Skip Schumacher. Get your hands off Yadi, okay? Yeah. I realize that you took John Mabry over there. You got John Jay.
Yeah.
You're bringing
you took
all
Sandy
the Johns.
Alcantara.
Sandy Alcantara had nothing to do with that, but you got him. You got him over there. So stop it, Skip. Don't do that. It was a nice season for you, but you don't need to be taking another great piece away from St. Louis. But no, it's really going to be, that's why, again, we're going to wait until after the World Series to hear from the Cardinals, Anthony, to see if you had to make a guess, or forget guessing, Anthony, if you had to put Yadier Molina, or got to put Yadier Molina on this staff, in what capacity would you do so? Like, where do you think he fits best?
Probably outfield, working with the outfielders.
Good call, man.
Yeah.
See, that's zig when everybody else is zagging.
Yeah.
Everybody's like catching, bench coach, pitching coach, outfield. Okay,
Yeah.
Him and Willie McGee together. You want to talk about combining forces?
Kind of a layup.
Yes.
No, Brad, I think I'd go with the catcher spot, considering there was maybe a hiccup or two with Wilson Contreras last year, at least from the organization standpoint. You also got a young catcher in Ivan Herrera that I would think at some point you're going to want to turn part of the offense over. Not the offense, the keys over, just part maybe. So, I think I would go catching consultant / coach / just please, God, turn Wilson Contreras into a full-time catcher or Ivan Herrera into a full-time catcher.
See, and the beauty of Yadi is whatever the role would be potentially for him, you know that he's going to fit many different roles, right?
Sure.
He'll help the pitchers. He'll help certainly the catchers. He'll help Ollie Marmol as he is going through the game. Like he would help a little bit of everybody, and that is the fun part about bringing in a mind like Yadier Molina's, as we talked a little bit about yesterday too. And I think that one of the most important things to have on your staff, first of all, staffs, you have to work together well. Like you have to have a group of people that like and respect each other and will listen to each other's opinions. Like that is a very important thing. But it's also very important to have guys on your staff that are not afraid to push back.
Right.
And having a leader of that staff, which is Ollie Marmol, who is not worried about people pushing back and want that back and forth. Because if you're surrounded by a bunch of yes men, Anthony, first of all, we've made stupid decisions anyhow.
Oh, boy.
But how many more stupid decisions would we make if we didn't have people in our life just checking us? Like, no, that's a bad idea, actually. Like, why would you do that? You need that on a staff. And that's something that Yadier Molina, and I know other guys on the staff, everybody feels comfortable stepping up and saying when they believe that something is going a direction that maybe it shouldn't, or just voicing their opinion.
Yeah.
But Yadi will have absolutely no problem doing that. And I think that's something that's very difficult oftentimes, especially for a new coach who's stepping in, but a new coach doesn't generally have the resume of a guy like Yadier Molina.
Yeah, no, well said on that one, Brad. I think we're all in unison here. Whatever role that Yadi wants to occupy for as long as it will take, or as long as he wants to do it, fantastic. Now, if he's dipping in and out, I think that's more of a consulting role than a full-time coaching position.
Totally.
But look, this is a no-brainer. And you're right. Skip, keep your dirty mitts off Yadi Molina. He's ours.
Look, Skip's done a great job. I love Skip. One of my best buddies in the game of baseball. You stop it, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't wear another jersey his entire career. Do you think that he's going to start his first year of coaching throwing on that ugly-ass Miami jersey? Stop it.
He's going to put a fish on his head. Stop it.
Yeah, real nice. Now,
Patience.
next you want him to be Billy the Marlin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that his name, Billy the Marlin?
I think it's Billy. I don't know why.
Why Billy?
Yeah, I don't know. They used to have the manatees, too, Anthony, which was actually really good. It was a bunch of fat guys that danced in, like, the seventh inning.
Oh, okay.
They got rid of that. I guess it's insensitive or something. I don't know. Or too much shake for everybody.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to turn down the shake. People aren't ready for it.
I get it.
Patience or pass. We're going to play that with certain players, not only locally, but at the in the National Football League as well. You show some patience for these guys, or you just say, now pass. See ya.
Okay.
And one of the Cardinals, I think, one of the key Cardinals will be discussed. That's next on 101 ESPN. If you are in the market for a new vehicle, Auto Center's Nissan Herculean, that's your spot. Maybe you're not in the market for a new vehicle. Maybe you're like, yeah, we can't afford it. Rates are high right now. I don't feel comfortable with it. No, we're going to have to go pre-owned, Anthony. Sorry. Don't be. Auto Center's Nissan, they've got 622 pre-owned vehicles right now, ready to go. They've got a massive lot out in Herculaneum, brand new facility. The sales staff, fantastic. Best financing people that you're going to find. So whether you're in the market for a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle, Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, they got you covered. It's not just Nissans. They've got all kinds of different makes and models. They've got cars. They've got SUVs, trucks, vans. They have sports cars, whatever you're looking for. Different price points. They're going to take care of you. 30-day return promise as well. Within 30 days, if you need to bring the vehicle back for any reason, make sure they get you the refund. They got the lifetime complimentary lifetime servicing as well on the new Nissans. They do a fantastic job. So if you're in the market, head out to Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, tell them Stalter sent you, and let them set you up with your next new ride. Again, Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum.
.101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues take on the Jets tonight. Pregame starts at 6:30. Puck drop is at 7:45. You can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Also tonight, the Diamondbacks take on the Phillies. Game 7 winner heading to the World Series and will face the Texas Rangers. The Rangers beat the Astros last night in the ALCS Game 7, 11-4, the final. Former Cardinal Adolis Garcia was named ALCS MVP. Also last night in Monday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings defeated the San Francisco 49ers 22-17. We'll play Patience or Pass coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter. Andrew Marsh here as well. Time to play Patience or Pass. I want to throw out a name to you guys, and you tell me, just from a fan perspective, whether or not you think the team should be patient with this player or they should just pass whenever it's appropriate to. For example, like Jordan Love. They don't have a better option, the Packers do. But when they have an option in the offseason, would you pass on him, or would you be more patient with him? So, Jordan Love, what do you think, BT?
Well, look, right now, I would be patient with Jordan Love. He's 24 years old. He's got 7 career starts. 6 of them, Anthony, have been this year. Like, how the hell do you think you know what Jordan Love is? Filling some pretty big shoes. I mean, you talk about, like, the punch of karma that takes to take up for Aaron Rodgers after he leaves.
Yeah.
I would be patient with Jordan Love at this point. And that's not to say, look, that you don't try to bolster things and maybe you end up drafting a quarterback somewhere, depending on where they land in the draft. Like, if a guy falls to you, then you take him. But right now, I'd be patient with him.
I think when I have the opportunity to, and I've been high on Jordan Love, I thought he'd be better at this point. Coming into the league or season, I picked the Packers thinking, like, hey, he's going to have a better year than people think. As I look at it now, in this league, in today's game, you cannot be completing 57.5% of your passes. That's atrocious. Completion percentage is not a big deal to me anymore because of the number of short passes that these teams make, unless it's 57.5. You know, if it's 57.5, now I want to talk about completion percentage. Yeah. The average per pass 6.5, so he's not throwing it very deep and he's not completing it at a high rate. When I have the opportunity to, I think I have to move on at this point. I don't see it getting better. I will say this though, in defense of Jordan Love, not having Aaron Jones for every game thus far, he's only had him a couple of times. That's been difficult. It's put some more pressure on Jordan Love because he can't run the ball. A.J. Dillon is not Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon is a complement to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a complete back. So I would like to see Aaron Jones, if he could stay healthy, I would like to see this Packers offense with him and see if Love improves. But early on, it doesn't look good.
I'm going to stay patient with Jordan Love. I think I might hang on to him for a few years, too. Even if the team isn't that good, I think they should hang on to him because eventually he could develop into being a good quarterback. But it might take some time.
BT, do you see what's going on here? Do you see it?
With Marshy?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see it. I see he wants to keep Love around because, his Vikings.
Yep, there it is.
I think that makes a little bit of sense.
What? Yeah.
I kept him around because I believe that he'd be able to take that next step, Anthony. He's keeping around because he believes he's just going to be somebody that his Vikings can kick around.
That's
you
correct.
know what? You make a valid point. I do have a question, though. How much is this struggling for Jordan Love? Is it on him or, Jamie, is it the player or is it the play caller, right? When you look at Matt LaFleur, and we look at what Aaron Rodgers did in the last few seasons under Matt LaFleur's offense, should we be questioning what's going on with his offense? I know there's a lot of bells and whistles that are going on.
I think it's fair to question it. Sure. I would only go back to last year, though, with Aaron Rodgers, because you didn't have Devontae Adams. You go on beyond that, you always had that safety net in Adams. But if you look at it last year, Aaron Rodgers had a down year, but it was a down year for Aaron Rodgers. And I thought more so than anything, he struggled in the red zone. He was turning the ball over at a pretty good clip last year. But again, I think that not having Aaron Jones is a huge detriment. Whereas Aaron Rodgers a year ago, he at the very least, he had a dynamic weapon there, but he still completed 64.6% of his passes. The average wasn't that great, 6.8. So yeah, maybe it is time to look at Matt LaFleur.
Or the fact that they just don't have skilled position players overall. Like we've talked, even with Adams, like we talked about, he got one weapon. Like that was with Aaron Rodgers. Like how the hell is Jordan Love supposed to elevate this team when you don't have weapons around?
Yeah, we can't run the ball, and you don't have one of your better players. Go out and win it,
kid.
Go
get him, kid.
Yep.
Have fun.
No, it's fair. Okay, guys. Dylan Carlson, patience or pass?
Anthony, you're going to find that I'm a very patient person, depending on how far we get down this list. And I will be patient with the 25-year-old Dylan Carlson. Only limited to, I think it was 76 games last year. I still believe that there's upside for the switch-hitting Carlson. I think that he's a plus outfielder in a corner, has to stay healthy. Now, that being said, right now, I think he's a fourth outfielder for you. He's got to prove differently coming into the season that he can push somebody out of the way. But right now, from left to right, my outfield looks like Nootbaar, Edman, Jordan Walker, and he's going to have to figure out a way to get some playing time and some reps. But you still have him. He ain't going to cost you a ton of money in arbitration. I would still be very patient with Dylan Carlson. He's not off the table in a deal. He's not by cold dead hands, but I would like to be patient with him if you can.
I'll be patient too. I like what BT said. I don't expect him to crack the top three in terms of outfielders at the beginning of the season. But if he plays his way into that top three, I think you are excited. As a Cardinal fan, you're definitely excited if you're part of the front office. I think for him, and this is just my opinion, I'm not looking at numbers or anything, but I'd like to see him be selective when he is batting from the left side or the right side, much like what we saw Tommy Edman do this year. Sometimes he would go on that righty-on-righty matchup because maybe he felt more comfortable doing that. I'd like to see him maybe try that out because his numbers from the left side, I don't think were as great as from the right side.
No, that's a great point. Here's where I'm at with Dylan Carlson. I agree with you, BT. He is a fourth outfielder for me right now. You haven't been available. I'm sorry. So, fourth outfielder. I would approach this offseason as if somebody's willing to give me more than a fourth outfielder, okay, in a deal. And it's not just Dylan Carlson straight up. But if Dylan Carlson has to be included in a deal that's going to get me something significant, I'm dealing him. If somebody is not willing to give me, or really if it's just, hey, we'll give you essentially in a trade a fourth outfielder. He's got more value to me at 25 years old to see what else he has. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, for sure. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you in the right deal.
Yeah, they come at me with, here's a reliever. Here you go. No, I'm going to see what the 25-year-old has that just hasn't been healthy. That's where I'm at with Dylan Carlson. Let's jump to Justin Fields. Pass or patience with Justin Fields?
Anthony, I should say patience because of the same reasons I was going to say it, or I did say it with Jordan Love. But I'm going to go pass, and the only reason is it's Tyson Bagent. When you know you have the next guy that is sitting there that can just command an offense like Bagent.
Against an elite opponent, too.
Yes, with 129 yards or whatever he ended up having. That one, sometimes you got to be able to turn the page, all right? And it is time for the Bears.
That's a good way to put that, BT. I like that you're not just a prisoner of the moment. You're looking past that. Yeah. I'm passing on Justin Fields as soon as I can because he cannot throw.
He himself cannot pass.
He himself cannot pass. We are in the window right now where a team is still going to look at Justin Fields and say, I can fix him. Great. I'm going to trade him to you, and then I'm going to take, with one of my first-round picks, likely in the top 5, because they get the Panthers pick next year, and their own. They're going to be in the top 5. I'm going to take one of these quarterbacks coming out, and I'm going to trade Justin Fields to somebody that believes that can fix him. Marsh?
Yeah, for the same reasons with Jordan Love, I think I'm going to stay patient with old Justin Fields. No, really, I have to pass.
We're going to go with the Vikings thing again?
Well, absolutely. But I think you have to pass on Justin Fields. Or, I mean, it's tough, though, because I think the Bears themselves, whether it's the general manager, the coaching, they've just been bad. And I don't know if he's necessarily in the greatest spot right now to be a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think he could be a good quarterback on a different team, different organization, but I don't think it's in Chicago. So for that reason, I'm out.
All right, we had some other ones here, but we'll move forward. What's trending next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN?
on in the world of sports? The Fast Lane has you covered with what's trending now.
Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate to Goodwill and get a Lion's Choice sandwich coupon.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Anthony Stalter, Brad Thompson. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. We talked about this at the beginning of the show, but BT was not with us. BT, how about former Cardinal Adolis Garcia winning the ALCS MVP, 15 ribbies in one series? Man, it'd be nice to have a guy like that.
He's kind of fun to watch, isn't he? He is, he's been electric after the game, too. You see him rallying the whole team, and they're cheering with him. The guy's been ridiculous. Had a monster year for the Rangers this year. Obviously, a big catalyst for what they're doing. And, that's the goal, is to have guys like that. Anthony, you brought this up yesterday as we were talking about Adolis Garcia. It isn't only the Cardinals that whiffed on him. Hell, the Rangers whiffed on him and every other team in baseball as he was available off of waivers because they also put him through waivers. He cleared, and he remained a Ranger. So, look, there are some players that you end up just letting go. They go on to good things. Unfortunately, it's happened a couple of times for a couple of outfielders while you're still trying to figure out the outfield mix. But it is a really interesting dynamic, as we talked about yesterday, Anthony and Marshy, because if you're trying to learn from something, like if you're learning from the experience of Adolis Garcia and you're learning from Randy Arozarena, the thing that you might tend to do more of is be patient. It's like, okay, I got to give these guys a little bit more time. Patience is something I don't think the Cardinals can afford to have right now when it comes to like the outfield mix or just overall. I don't think they can wait for more guys to go out there and just, maybe this is the year. So it's really an interesting dynamic of, if you're the front office, how do you look at that and how do you react accordingly?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it one of two ways, Brad. One, you let those guys go, Garcia, Arozarena, in a trade that netted you a middle-of-the-order bat that you so desperately needed, but you did give up Alcantara and Gallen. You also...
that was a different deal, actually. That was the Liberatore deal with the Arozarena.
No. I talked about the middle-of-the-order bat, which would be Ozuna. That's what I was referring to. So,
okay.
Yeah, in the deal for
way back.
Yes, in the deal for the middle of the order bat. What I said was you got him. You needed that. So, but you did part with Gallen and Alcantara. But you also got him. You scouted him. You had him in the organization. So, find the right guys and just hold on to them. That's all it is.
It's just not that hard, Anthony.
Find the right guys, keep them in the organization, and win World Series again. Just do that.
You go out there and you find that blanket dog.
Exactly.
Is what you do.
Whoa,
Miss Lippy.
You guys, don't just give up.
I know we have Game 7 tonight between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. That one should be interesting, to say the least. You're probably wondering, how am I going to watch all these NHL games tonight? You got the Blues playing the Jets. If you're not watching, you're listening right here on 101 ESPN. But the NHL has their version of the Red Zone, which will be debuting tonight, the NHL Frozen Frenzy.
Ooh.
Frozen Frenzy.
So are we going like quad box with this?
Man, I hope so.
What are we doing with it? Because I got to tell you right now, hockey on 4 smaller screens sounds awful, to be totally honest with you. How are you going to follow the puck on 4 smaller screens?
That's going to be tough. I think, Brad.
For me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I'm a hockey layman here, okay? Maybe you're looking at the body, you see which way he's leaning, you know where that puck's at.
Right.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I think for me, BT, they should just have it on a delay. They know that they have to go to a certain game because they got a goal. So you just kind of go there ahead of time. Maybe it's a 30-second delay. You go there. You know you're going to see the goal that's scored, and then you can bounce around that way. To try to do
just like highlights, quick.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, but again, if you're watching this Frozen Frenzy, you almost kind of know there's a little bit of a delay going on, but nobody says anything. It's just, let's go to Winnipeg, where we got the Blues and the Jets. And then 30 seconds later, you see a goal. If you've got no goal scoring, you pick out whatever the top game is, and you kind of let that run for a little bit. But I don't think they could do it like the red zone, where you've got a little bit more lead time. Team is is over the 50, or they are literally in the red zone, and they can go to that game. I think that's going to be too difficult. There's not enough of that lead in when it comes to hockey, because hockey is constantly in motion. So I think there should be a delay for the group here at the Frozen Frenzy to make sure that they time up the action properly. That's my opinion.
Interested, Anthony, in checking it out. I think it'd be fun. And Marshy, I know you're a huge hockey guy. You have interest in it?
Yeah, I have a little bit of interest in it. I mean, obviously, we'll check it out just because I love red zone, and I love hockey. So you pair those two together.
You're in.
Yeah, I'm in. And you got John Buchnevich, who will be the guy sort of, stepping in as the Scott Hansen host. So he always has a little flair, and he loves hockey. So it'll be interesting for sure. But it's going to be tough taking those eyeballs away from Game 7 of the NLCS, and then of course my ear holes from right here on 101 ESPN.
There you go. Well done there, Marsh. Hey, we have our Sports Six Pack coming up next. If you've got a question for us, send it in to the Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646. Again, 314-399-9646. Sports Six Pack next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six Pack is refreshed by Maggie O'Brien's, your go-to Irish pub in St. Louis for over 42 years.
All right, 5:01, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter. Here's Andrew Marsh with your questions for the Sports Six-Pack.
Question number 1.
All right, gentlemen, we were just talking about Adolis Garcia. The Cardinals DFA'd him. Yeah, big whoop, whatever. So did the Rangers. From the 573, I always say, who says these guys would have ended being up what they are in St. Louis? All it takes is one person / coach for the light bulb to go off for a player.
Boy, that is a really outstanding point. It is. It's not an excuse either. It's the truth. I mean, sometimes there's a coach that unlocks whatever it is within you that turns you from a fringe player or somebody that's being bounced around into a regular that's going to get starting opportunities, and now Garcia is turning into a superstar because he's doing it on the biggest stage. But he's right. Who knows? Who knows if Garcia would have ever panned out with the Cardinals?
I think he'd have been fine.
You of all people, I did not expect you to go that route, PT.
No, I know. But no, I do think that there is really something to it. First of all, like we were just talking about the idea of preaching patience, and obviously there are certain levels that you can go to, other levels you cannot go to, and certain players you can be patient with, others that you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But a young man at the time of being DFA'd twice. But look, sometimes maybe getting DFA'd is that chip on your shoulder, or getting traded is that chip on your shoulder. So no, you never know how things would end up playing out for you if he were here. I still like the chances of him turning into a very good player, because I think he was just a very good player.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you never know how that would have worked out.
Question number 2.
Guys, we were talking earlier about Yadi Molina potentially joining the Cardinals coaching staff. The question I have for you guys is, what does it mean for the other coaches if Yadi joins the staff? Let's say Yadi is a bench coach. What does that mean for Dusty Blake as the pitching coach? Because you mentioned he could be used in all sorts of different roles. Like, is Dusty Blake going out to talk to the pitchers, during a mound visit, or is Yadi going out there to talk to them?
What do you think?
Yeah, well, look, if he were the bench coach, it would mean more for Joe McEwing, who is currently the bench coach. And again, I still think that there's the concept or possibility of making a role for him, right? Bringing him on in a totally different capacity that ends up being a catch-all because I know they like the staff the way that it's currently constructed. But Marsh, I think that's the beauty of it, is that he can do a little bit of everything. Now, your pitching coach is still going to go out and have pitchers meetings. Like, I don't think that they're just going to send Yadi out there to go do it. That being said, I wouldn't mind that every once in a while in a situation to go send Yadi out there, but I think that you would still stick with your traditional roles and then have Yadi in the dugout talking to the pitcher, talking to the catcher in between innings. I think that would probably be the best way to do that.
Question number 3.
From the 314, Marsh, ask Anthony if he'll have the Vikings in his top 5 list. LOL. Anthony, will you have the Vikings in your top 5 list?
No.
I figured so.
But
it's worth the ask.
But if you listened earlier, I gave all the credit to the Vikings. I did not downplay that win. I know I've been a little hard on Marsh's Vikings and your Vikings, but that was a legit win. I thought that if you missed it earlier, I thought Kirk Cousins was masterful last night. Derek Carr, who now I can talk badly about because he's not a Raider, and BT's on with us now. He's a Saint, so I can say whatever I want about Derek Carr. But Derek Carr would not have won that game last night. Old check down Charlie would have not won that game. Yet, as I've made the point before, we just keep giving Derek Carr all the excuses in the world while we crush Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can be a little bit of a stat, master, but he won that game last night for them. The 49ers could not get Kirk Cousins off the field, Brad. He was great.
Yeah, look, the thing, I think the reason that Kirk Cousins gets so much pushback because he just seems like a really bad guy,
No, he's a terrible human being.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, it's been a bad start for the team. Expectations were a hell of a lot higher, but that was an incredible win for them. And honestly, it's one of those wins where you feel like could end up springboarding you. Now, momentum is only as good as your next game. Like, we'll see what he and they end up doing with it. But that was one I don't think too many people saw coming, and they were confident in their own place that they were going to get it done.
Question 4, please.
Question number 4.
From the 931, does Wingo commit to Mizzou tomorrow? And does Mizzou win at Georgia? We did talk about that yesterday a little bit.
Trey Wingo, huh? He's a little older.
He's a hometown kid.
He is a hometown kid. Of course he's going to commit to Mizzou. M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.
Yeah.
I think that when you're looking at the job that Drink has done from a recruiting standpoint, I think there's a great chance that they could land Mingo. Eli Drinkowitz, and this is the number one. If you're going to be at this level, you're going to be coaching the SEC. You better be able to lock down the borders, and you better be able to land some of these top recruits. And from a recruiting standpoint, Drink has been excellent. What we haven't seen is that coincide with the on-field product until now. They had every opportunity to beat LSU, and it wouldn't have been a fluke win. They probably should have won that game, but they were outpaced at the end. They're in it. Since that point, they fell behind 14-0 to Kentucky on the road, hostile environment at night, and came back and whooped Kentucky. Last week, they took advantage of a South Carolina program that hadn't been very good this year, and they whooped them. They're going to be in this Georgia game. Do they win it? I don't know. Tough place to play. You're between the hedges, but you got a full week. You got 2 weeks now to prepare for this sucker. Drink, his recruiting is finally matched with the on-field product, or vice versa.
Yeah, the answer is yes. He's doing it, guys. Let's be honest. The offensive-minded head coach, I think he got his first Mizzou offer in like 8th grade, which seems illegal, like it should be. But, either way,
isn't Lane Kiffin given like 13-year-olds?
Yeah, no, actually, I saw him at my kids' game. It was 10U the other day. He wasn't looking at their team. It was the other team. They were pretty good. But it's one. He's already got one. One of his brothers is at Mizzou, and I think yes, I think we're seeing some good momentum here out of Mizzou, and obviously what they're doing right now is certainly helping their case. I mean, if you were over there for that game, if you went to homecoming, and Marshy, I know that you were there. Think about that being a recruit going to Mizzou and feeling that atmosphere, that place packed and all out of their mind excited. Boy, I mean, that would be a tough thing to say no to.
Question number 5.
Just keep winning.
Speaking of a team that would like to win, the Dallas Cowboys from the 636, do the Cowboys have a legit chance to win the Super Bowl within the next few years?
I don't think I think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And that's not a knock. It is what it is. I don't think Kirk Cousins wins a Super Bowl. I don't think that
Anthony.
I'm sorry. I don't think that Mac Jones wins a Super Bowl. I don't think Geno Smith wins a Super Bowl. You got to be elite and then also play on a stacked team. You got to win multiple playoff, or you got to play out of your bleeping mind for 2 games like Nick Foles did. And have that also be, again, a great team. That's the exception, though. Dak Prescott winning multiple playoff games and being perfect and playing to that level against top-notch defenses, Brad, I just don't see it. But I think he's a good quarterback, and they're going to get back. They're going to be a wild card team, and they, depending on the matchup, they can win. They can win a playoff game just like they did on the road last year in Tampa. But at some point, I think the carriage turns, the pumpkin turns back into the carriage, or the carriage turns back into the pumpkin. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's got to be your bull. Doesn't matter.
It's got to be your pumpkin.
Anthony, is there any What other aspect of that Cowboys team do you look at and say that is a weak link? Is it just the quarterback position that you solely have that feeling about? And it's the biggest position on the field, so I understand, why that carries as much weight as it does.
Losing Diggs hurts too. I mean, Diggs was such a ball hawk and somebody that's capable of generating those turnovers. They got Micah Parsons. They got an elite pass rush. But when you lose Diggs, you lose the ability to create havoc. And that havoc is the sacks, the turnover, the forced fumbles, the interceptions. So I think that also becomes a weakness. But it does come back to Dak. I don't think he's terrible. Every time, you lose that game against the 49ers in which he threw a bunch of interceptions and just wanted to be embarrassing. Everybody's like, oh, Dak Prescott's the worst quarterback in the league. Stop. He's a franchise quarterback. He's a really good player. But going on the road to San Francisco, going on the road to Philadelphia in the playoffs, everything is on the line against those teams when at full strength. I'm sorry, I'll take the other teams.
Do you think, Anthony, he doesn't have the physical ability to do it, or do you think that mentally he crumbles in those moments?
I think in those spots, he gets in quarterbacks make their money on third down and in the red zone. Look at Kirk Cousins last night compared to the Kirk Cousins that we've seen at times this year. Kirk Cousins, red zone. There's a lot of quarterbacks that win between the 20s. Matt Ryan was like that. Matt Ryan was one of the best quarterbacks in between the 20s. You get him in the red zone, and field goal. That's Dak Prescott to me. And his red zone issues have been paramount this season. If you can't, Kirk Cousins last night, third down, he couldn't get him off the field. He was throwing frozen ropes. I haven't seen that out of Dak at that level. And he's not the only one. I mean, my God, it's difficult to win a Super Bowl. That's why, Brad, when you and I have done it, it's special. Should be celebrated.
That's absolutely right, and that's why we always remember it, Anthony.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Question number 6.
Or was that a World Series? I forget now.
Doesn't matter, Anthony. Yeah. If somebody just tuned in for the first time, thought we had 2 Super Bowl champs on this airwaves here.
Yep.
From the 314, who is the greatest sports villain of all time?
Russell Brand is up there.
God, you just love to hate. The greatest sports villain of all time.
Oh my God!
Boy, that's tough.
No idea.
Because he's also going to be, but he's also going to be great.
What about Bill Lambier?
Oh boy, he put that mask on and they just start throwing them bows. You pick a piston, any piston, for a while.
Yeah. See, I think of like the greatest sports villain. You just absolutely hate that. You know what? And because he's also great too, and he's in your face.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
You could say Tom Brady. I feel like a lot of people didn't like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Until he went to Tampa. Here, Indianapolis, Baltimore, literally any team in the AFC.
Yeah.
I can't go there.
I'm trying to think of why you had something, Anthony.
No, Tom. I was thinking about Brady.
Oh, I thought you had something good. No. I got one for you, and this word that I'm going to say isn't the person, but it's because of the person. Why? Tanya Harding is one. I mean, that's a pretty good sports villain. She did.
I would say so.
Yeah, she got
she didn't do it.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Well, she got him to.
But she was definitely part of the plan.
I think so. And now she's she's on TV and stuff now, isn't she?
Well, she did. Well, remember, she went down a weird role there. She was road. She was a boxer for a second.
She was a boxer for a minute.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. That's really good. I'm sure there's the text line is probably
the text line has a few.
Is Stan Kroenke on the text line? I haven't checked that yet, but that's probably a good
Stan
one.
Stan Kroenke's on there. A few people have said one particular person who's not even a player, Angel Hernandez.
I can't go there with Angel just because he doesn't impact things enough.
It's not his fault he can't read.
You know who would have been a great sports villain if we knew even more about his personal life and maybe how he was in the course. But Tiger may have been at some point a pretty good villain, just by virtue of how he played, how He wasn't always, he kind of stuck to himself a lot. But
I heard he actually got around a little bit, Anthony. He didn't seem to be by himself all the time.
Now, you're talking about his swing? He got around on the swing? And
sure did.
Yeah, he did.
Around all over, Jupiter.
Yep, the club. Swinging that club around all the time.
Yes, every club.
Hey, which Cardinal starters would you take over the current LCS pitchers?
Chris Carpenter.
Current Cardinal.
Bob Gibson.
Current Cardinal. I should have clarified that. Yeah. Or maybe would you say, are there any Cardinal starters would you take over any of the current LCS pitchers? That's next on 101 ESPN. So this is an exercise that should torture us. I mean, should be interesting. When you look at the current LCS pitchers, now Houston was eliminated last night, but we can throw Houston into the mix, as well as Texas, of course, Philadelphia, and Arizona. How many current Cardinals pitchers would you take over the pitchers that are in the final 4 teams.
Yeah, and we're just going to go top 3 here in their rotation due to the fact that's kind of what the Cardinals need, right?
Yes, we'll go top 3.
What team do you want to start with?
Let's start with Texas, since they've advanced.
Okay, interesting one.
Yeah.
Jordan Montgomery, because he was a Cardinal. So is that a push? Or does it have to be current?
I think I'd take Montgomery.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. No, I would too. I was just checking. You know, he had the 11th lowest ERA in baseball this year.
Felt like it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, felt like it.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Jordan Montgomery, and by the way, as we're talking about this, are you thinking about the rotation for the Cardinals of like the guys that you would pick as basically Michaelis? Are you thinking Michaelis and Matz, or just Michaelis?
I think I'll just go with Michaelis here. I think Matz would be a little bit of a landslide here. So let's just stick with Michaelis.
Yeah, probably. Because, 27 starts over the last 2 years for Matz, and we saw some encouraging things. I was disappointed when he went on the shelf because we were actually seeing him throw the ball the way that he wanted to. But I would have to agree with that. Look, all right, so we're going to take Montgomery. Nathan Eovaldi, I think that you end up taking Eovaldi. Had a good ERA this year. We know he's got tons of swing and miss. He's been dominant in the postseason. How about that combination of Eovaldi and Montgomery in the postseason, Anthony? I mean, those guys have been damn near unhittable.
Montgomery going from St. Louis, where he was really good here, to Texas, where you had Maddox make a couple of subtle tweaks, and you have seen Jordan Montgomery go from steady number 4, he'll take the ball every single time with the Yankees, to a Cardinals team where he was their best pitcher this past year, to postseason god. Like, we have seen the transformation here with Montgomery. Nobody would have considered Montgomery an ace with the Yankees, or even a number 2 with the Yankees. With the Cardinals, based on what they had, you could view him as a number 1 or number 2 when it comes to the Cardinals. But I didn't have him a dominant postseason starter like he's been with Texas.
I don't think that was their plan either. I think that their plan was to get depth with Montgomery. So real quick with him, and we'll move on to the other teams. I know we're limited here with time. But with Jordan Montgomery, if the Cardinals did in fact sign Montgomery back, would you then consider him a 1 or 2 because of what he did with Texas and what he did with the postseason?
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't necessarily like say, oh, we've got our bona fide ace, we're done. Or we've got a bona fide.
You wouldn't call him the A word.
Which A word?
Oh,
ace.
Which A word?
Yeah, ace. I would say that he would be the number 1 based on what else I think the Cardinals would acquire.
He's the tallest short person, is what you're saying.
No, I wouldn't describe it that way either, Brad.
He's pretty tall.
He is pretty tall, but I wouldn't describe it that way. He would be your number 1. He would be your opening day starter.
Yeah. Yes, no, I agree. And I think that they should be firmly there bringing Montgomery back. I still just don't look at him. I just don't see how you could trade a guy away and then a couple months later you bring him back and be like, got our ace. Like, it just doesn't feel like it works that way. You got a very good pitcher back,
right,
and one that you should definitely want to have around and one that helps you. And the third one in their rotation, obviously, is Max Scherzer. Which direction are you going there?
I would go Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What team do you want to go to next, Anthony?
Let's go to Houston, the team that was eliminated last night.
All right, Verlander. We all know the answer. Valdez. Yeah, 200 strikeouts for him this year, 29 years old. The only one that gives you a little bit of pause maybe is Christian Javier, who struggled obviously last night, only lasted a third of an inning. By the way, before that, and even his overall numbers, he's been a hell of a postseason pitcher the last couple of years for them. Do you go Christian Javier or Michaelis/Matz?
I would go Christian Javier.
Me too. 26 years old, too. I mean, that's kind of the thing with him.
Yeah. I love, too, how you and I talked about it. I even mentioned it. Boy, Javier's got nasty numbers against this current Texas lineup. They can't see him.
Oh, boy.
I blinked and it was 3-0 Texas.
Yeah, that happened. Escalated quickly.
It certainly did. Okay, so clean sweep for Texas, clean sweep for Houston. Why don't we go to Philadelphia?
Oh, do we have to? Because I think we know where this is going to...
Wheeler.
You know... Nola didn't have a great season.
No, he didn't. He struggled going in.
But, yes, we all know that you would take either one of those guys. By the way, I think that Zach Wheeler might be a free agent after next season.
Yep.
So that might be nice. No, you're not taking any of your guys over them.
Suarez.
And I don't think that you're taking them over Ranger either.
Nope.
Honestly, Ranger only made 22 starts last year, but he's a guy. I think that he is solid.
Okay, Arizona.
Okay, now we go. Zach Gallen.
You get a guy like Zach Gallen, you make sure you keep him.
Right. Once he's that guy in the big leagues, you absolutely keep him. As a young player, you never know what that guy's going to be. 220 punch-outs for him this year in 210 innings, which, by the way, Miles Michael is one of only 4 pitchers, I think it was, to get over the 200-inning threshold. Like, there is something to be said. Started more games than anybody in baseball with 35 of them. I'm certainly not taking him over Zach Gallen, though. No. What about Merrill Kelly?
I think I
would,
would,
about comps. I mean, these guys.
I think I would go Kelly, but
overseas, I am too. The numbers back it up, right? So Merrill Kelly had a very pristine ERA, a 3.29. He had 187 punch-outs in 177 innings. I think that you have to go that way. What about the rookie who's starting Game 7 tonight? I think he's only the 6th rookie to start a Game 7 since 2000. It's going to be interesting. What about Brandon Pfaadt?
With the way that sweeper was humming earlier in this series, I mean, the Phillies couldn't touch him. I would have to go with Brandon. Fat
Pfaadt, yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I'm going that route. Now you can't throw him 3 times through an order, but that'll change because he's young. He's a rookie, as you mentioned.
But no, this go 3 times.
This exercise was depressing.
But was it enlightening? No, we knew this.
No, we knew this going in.
That you have to have very good pitching coming back. The Jordan Montgomery conversation to me, though, is a very interesting one of like how you would deem him, how you would feel about Monty coming back. You obviously want him, but do you feel like, boom, Game 1, Game 2, he's got it going on? Because we saw it right here with the Rangers. He's been outstanding. I just wonder how that feels if he's come back in that uniform.
He's my opening day starter. Unless
So Nola is pitching Game 2?
Unless I were to get an Aaron Nola. Yeah. Or trade for, Garrett Cole. Or Spencer Strider when Atlanta undoubtedly makes him available. Then I would go with one of those guys.
Is Bobby Miller going to be Game 3 then?
Bobby Miller I would acquire from the Dodgers when I traded them. Tyler O'Neill. So, yeah, that'd be my starting rotation. I know. I'm losing an MVP guy, MVP candidate, and Tyler O'Neill, Brad. I get it. But I got to get pitching. So
that wasn't the look I was giving you, but okay.
We got to get to Joey Vitale. We'll talk to him about tonight's Blues game. Ahead of the Blues and the Jets, Joey Vitale next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Right after the show at 6:30, Blues Jets pregame show starting up. Puck drop will be at 7:45. We're going to talk with Joe Vitale coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. Joe and Curbs will be on the call tonight in Winnipeg. Tonight, the Diamondbacks look to take down the Phillies in Philadelphia. Game 7 of the NLCS. The winner will take on the Texas Rangers as the Rangers defeated the Astros last night 11-4 to clinch the ALCS. Adolis Garcia, former Cardinal, was named ALCS MVP. Joe Vitale coming your way next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Joey Vitale views things a little differently. Just imagine how he looks at hockey. Whoa! This is The View from Vitale, brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
With Brad Thompson, I'm Anthony Stalter. Let's head to our celebrity line, our 101 ESPN celebrity line. We're joined by Joey Vitale, who you'll hear tonight on the call for the Blues and the Jets pregame starting at 6:30. What's up, Joe?
Hey, boys, doing good. It's cold as ever in Winnipeg, as always.
Are you? So we were talking to Jamie earlier, and he said it was a balmy 96. So he lied to us.
Oh, he was a complete liar. I thought coming to Winnipeg in October would be a little bit better, but I think it's just cold here all the time.
It makes sense, yeah. Joey, Brad brought this up yesterday. Now, some say that Brad has a keen eye for hockey, and I would be one of them. Some would also say you may have a keener eye for hockey since you played and all. Do the Blues look faster the other night compared to how they did against Arizona, or were they just moving the puck better?
Well, first of all, Brad's a smart man.
No doubt.
Brad's a very smart man, actually. And, in some ways, I would argue that the more you have done something, perhaps the more arrogant you become in it. So I always try to, as best as I can, try to always begin everything with a beginner's mindset, because I think that's when you're learning the most and you observe things differently. So I don't want Brad to put short pants on himself there, because a lot of times it's what you don't know that makes you what you do know the obvious. Does that make sense at all?
Absolutely. Nailed it.
Okay, perfect. Faster, definitely faster, simply because they just move the puck better. I mean, it's just that simple. You know what I mean? Craig Berube talked about it at the end of the Arizona game. We asked, why didn't you have the puck? He just said simply, when we had it, we were so fidgety, we just gave it away. And our 10-foot passing, our 10-foot support just was not there. You look at even just the power play, for example, that Arizona game, trying to get the puck to Kyrou. Puck's bouncing all over the place. Instead of putting it on his tape, you're putting it in his skate. Breakouts coming up through the neutral zone. Instead of just going head man, they're putting them right behind the player and just messes with the timing. So I just think, quite frankly, the execution of that Arizona game was so poor. And then that Pittsburgh game on the flip side, it was just so good. And when you're passing that well and you're moving up together, everything's connected, you're a very tough team to defend. And you're a very, very tough team to beat. And that's what the Penguins saw the other night.
Joey, I wanted you to know that I was talking to you a minute ago, and I was just muted on my side. So I was writing down all of the great words that you had to say. I'm just an idiot with computers. So that's part of it. Speaking of fast, Joe, how did the Blues get on the board fast? Because I believe they've only got one first-period goal. Winnipeg has been giving up a bunch of goals early on, even though last game was better. Is that something? Can they get on the board quickly, and how much would that help?
And Craig Berube, it's his first thing he addressed this morning was the start to the game is going to be so important. And listen, you always want to start well. I mean, that's a given. But there are times in the season and opponents you face that you really got to highlight this area. And I think tonight's one of those nights. And what I mean by that is because Winnipeg has a tendency to start very fast in this building. This is a building with, it's not a ton of fans. They don't have a ton of seats. The capacity is 15,000. But these fans are right on top of you, and there's a passionate fan base here. So when the game gets going, these Jets on home ice, they can really jump you in a hurry. And I think when you combine that with the fact that the Blues have not been starting out that fast and certainly not got on the board very early in a lot of these games, you find yourself down 1, you find yourself down 2, and sometimes that's a hole you can't really claw out of. The reason why the Blues are starting so slow is because this whole philosophy of just defend first. They're kind of going with this rope-a-dope style of play, which certainly has shown great moments and shown some bad moments in the year. But I think if they can find any consistency with this, they're going to win some hockey games. And what that means is they're not going to start off with this high offense right off the get-go. And quite frankly, they're not going to wait until the second and third to really find their opportunistic times to get on that board. I mean, that Pittsburgh game was a perfect example. You defend hard, you defend hard, you defend hard, and all of a sudden in the second period it opens up there a little bit, and then you can find some offense. So they're going to naturally start off a little bit slower. I think for the most part this year, I don't think Blues fans should expect to get on the board early. But I do think with this philosophy, they're going to get better as the game goes on, and you hope to catch the team in this late second, early third period for your chances.
Joey Vitale joins us from Winnipeg, where the Blues will take on the Jets tonight at 7:45 pregame right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN, starting at 6:30. Joe, what can you tell us about Pavel Buchnevich and whether or not he's going to return? And if he does return, do you see him going to that second line centered by Braden Shen?
Listen, I can't say certain things, but if I was a betting man, I was in Vegas rolling the dice. I don't really roll the dice. I don't even know how to play that game. But if I was a betting man, I would say we're going to see 89 here tonight. I do not think you can put him on that top line. I think, quite frankly, it's just because of how Brandon Saad performed the other night. I think that line right now is untouchable. I think before the Pittsburgh game, based off how everything went in Arizona, I think you throw 89 right back up there with those top guys. But Brandon Saad was the best player on the ice. He had 6 shots on net. He had the most chances. He could have had 4 goals in the first period. And a lot of that had to do with the playmaking of Thomas and certainly the speed of Kyrou. So those three have found some chemistry. But I like Buchnevich on the second line if that's where he ends up here tonight with Braden Shen, because now you got some balanced scoring. You know, the one thing that always makes you nervous when you got such a prolific line like, Buchnevich, Kyrou, and Thomas, well, every team knows, okay, this is their scoring line. This is the line they got to shut down. So you lose a little bit of that balance with those three altogether. This way, maybe you have 89 with number 10, and let's say a Kapanen, for example. Now you have more balance, and I think that the other thing to consider about Buchnevich possibly playing with Shen here tonight, they're trying to get this captain going too, guys. I mean, listen, he's been a leader. He's defended hard. He's been physical. He's been good on the draws. But listen, you want your captain to get on the board. And I think for Braden Shen, he's starting to kind of fight it and kind of hold the stick a little bit tighter. So you want your captain to start finding some success here as well. And I think Buchnevich on his left side can certainly fill that.
Joe, you mentioned that top line and that speed of Jordan Kyrou, and that's something that we've had the opportunity to see over the last couple of years. Obviously, he's got the big contract, he and Thomas, and I don't care about the numbers, right? He's got 2 points, he's got a goal, he's got an assist. The stuff that doesn't show up on the score sheet, Joey, that 200-foot game, all of the stuff that Craig Berube has wanted to see, how has that looked from Jordan Kyrou through 4 games?
Well, a couple things about Kyrou. I will say I've never seen him defend the way he's defending so far, just 4 games into the season so far. I think that from back checking to breaking up plays to hustling back to the D zone to being a disciplined high guy in the offensive zone and aiding the defenseman and tracking back. We've seen Jordan Kyrou break up rush chances going for the other team the other way, stopping on a dime and going the other way. You look at his only goal on the year, if you really rewind that highlight, right before he has a little give-and-go exchange with Thomas in the offensive zone, just 5-6 seconds earlier, he was in the D zone with a good poke check, and then they're off and gone the other way. So I love the fact that he's defending better, and I really hope that he continues to find the offensive success because, the old adage in hockey is, good defense leads offense, and you want to see him rewarded offensively for that. And with that being said, I think that defensively it's been there. But at the same time, you're making $8 million. Your buddy Thomas is making $8 million. That's $16 million between the two of you. You two are the franchise players. You're the pillars heading into this future for this Blues team. For Thomas with no goals and Kyrou just with the 1 goal. I mean, listen, we're starting to say, hey, we need to see a little bit more. I think they know that. They expect that. And that's part of the growth process of a young player kind of coming into his own and becoming the franchise moving forward. You see it with young players all the time, with Connor Bedard, as early as it's been for him. Even though it's been, 5 years with the Blues for Robert Thomas and, 3-ish, let's say, for Jordan Kyrou, they're still very young, and there's still a lot of maturing to do, and the only way to really go through that is just to experience the growing pains of being the top guy. So for them to continue to defend, and I think the biggest thing for them from a point standpoint that could really help them, Brad, is the power play. I mean, the power play has been atrocious. It's 0 for 11. They started to find some steam in that Pittsburgh game, started to get manufacture more shots in the net. But for Thomas and Kyrou, I bring up the power play because for those two, for the points production, the offense, a lot of it's going to come from the power play, and you just have to figure out a way to get that one going.
Joe, good stuff, man. Enjoy Winnipeg, a balmy Winnipeg, and go Blues.
Sounds good, boys. You guys have a great week.
Thank you. That's Joe Vitale here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. You'll hear him at 6:30 tonight for the Blues pregame, hosted by Alex Ferrario. And, of course, Chris Gerber, the voice of Blues, will pop in as well. And we have your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Metallica next Sunday night, November 5th, at the Dome at America Center. Metallica playing a huge no-repeat weekend next Friday and Sunday.
Get ready, Anthony.
Yeah,
Get
you're
ready. I'm texting in.
No, Brad. No, every time, man. No, you're not. You're not eligible.
Okay. All right. Fine. Go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead and give it to somebody who's a lesser Metallica fan. Go ahead.
No repeat weekends next Friday and Sunday with two different sets, two different opening acts. Text in to win free tickets right now at 314-399-9646. Again, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. 2 nights tickets, single show tickets, both on sale. Get all the details and find a bonus chance to win a pair of free tickets for Metallica now at 101ESPN.com or your 101 mobile app. Here's your trivia question, by the way. Andrew Marsh, who did he take in the first goal of the game tonight? Who did Andrew Marsh select for his Blues player to score the first goal of the game tonight? Narrow it down to the Blues roster. And Brad, I don't think you were listening earlier, but if you were, maybe you'll have an opportunity to win those Metallica tickets. Did you mute yourself again? It looks like you're trying to talk. No, you didn't mute? Maybe Marsh just turned off your mic.
We might have lost Brad.
Oh, no.
We may have just lost him.
Forever?
Yeah, he's just not showing up, Anthony.
Great human being. Great father. Okay husband. We'll miss BT. We'll try to find him, though. What you miss, criticisms, compliments next on 101 ESPN. you missed anything from today's show, you can always download the podcast available at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Jamie Rivers joined us for the first 2 hours of the show live from his hotel in Winnipeg. We talked about Buchnevich potentially returning tonight. Binnington, Parayko, those two guys, outstanding play out of both. The impact of a good captain, especially for a team that's retooling like the Blues are. Jamie gave his keys to victory tonight for the Blues against the Jets. Talked a little bit about Kirk Cousins and an absolutely outstanding performance out of him last night. And then BT joined us for the last 2 hours. We played a very depressing game of which Cardinals starter, Michaelis specifically. Would you take Michaelis over any of the top three on any of the final four teams right now in baseball? The answer's kind of predictable, but we encourage you to listen anyways. We also played Patience or Pass on certain players around sports. Is there something cooking with Yadi? Yadi says 90% chance he's going to coach next year. Brad's still pouring some cold water on it for some reason.
I was not pouring any cold water.
Yeah, you can listen to the podcast and you determine yourself.
I'm hot on Yadi. Would love Yadi here. Kidding me?
And then we talked to Joe Vitale. So that's all available on the podcast. Marsh, do we hear from John Foselak?
Yeah, we got a mic drop from John Foselak about that one depressing segment that we had about comparing the Cardinal starters to the LCS starters. And this is what Fo had to say on the matter.
So, I think this is a cute segment, and, I think that you guys are going to give a lot of opinions, but, quite frankly, I think the answer still is nobody. And, I think the only guy that I would take on our rotation is Aaron Nola, and he's had a great postseason, but unfortunately, he's priced himself out. He's pitched too good and got too many guys out where, it's just not a price we probably will be willing to pay this offseason. You look at some of these other guys like a Zach Gallen and a Jordan Montgomery. Well, we traded them. We obviously didn't want them because we feel like a Steven Matz and a Liberatore and Dakota Hudson and Jake Woodford, have a brighter future. And I think that, it's easy and hindsight is always 20/20, but, there's an arbitrage of metrics and stats that go into our decisions, and we think in the long run we'll be proven right. I think Woodford's better than Zach Gallen. He's better than Alcantara, whatever you want to call his name. But yeah, so I think you can give your opinions, but at the end of the day, they don't really matter.
It's always great to hear from Fo. An arbitrage of data.
Metrics and data. I'd say net. That was pretty good. The cadence in the inflection is solid. The voice isn't there, but those two, that was pretty good.
Yeah, but you're right. The cadence and the inflection, outstanding. So perfect way to end. Hey, don't forget, we got Blues hockey starting at 6:30 pregame right here on 101 ESPN. We've got the game for you at 7:45 as the Blues take on the Jets. BT, we'll see you in 2 days, maybe Thursday.
Yeah, Anthony, fun as always. I'll be back on Friday.
Friday is what I meant to say. It was a day that ended in Y. I just couldn't determine whether it was Thursday or Friday. But BT will be back with us on Friday. Always good to do radio with you, brother. So see you in a couple days.
Good. I'll see you then.
All right, that's Brad Thompson. For Andrew Marsh, I'm Anthony Stalter. Thank you for everybody listening. We'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. See ya.